And that goes into the depression aspect you brought up earlier. Um, if you're in depression and you keep thinking about the past, you cannot move on, you cannot change and grow, you know. And yeah, that's very real. Um, the other witness, I can't remember that. Um, the villain, I liked him a lot. The scientist depth. Oh, the other witness. Now I remember. Like all of these people that met the wizard and they were not the chosen one. That was very interesting to see that the villain wasn't the only one that met the wizard. Um, it's just very good. It's a few years after the first one in the story as well, and I don't feel like it's the same thing as the first one. It feels a bit different. The Billy struggle is no more about depression or not being able to move on. It's more his leadership, the way he acts with others, and his interaction with the family. Like he accepts the family, but he doesn't know if the family accepts him, if you know what I mean. And that's a very interesting struggle there. Um, he's the leader, but he doubts himself. It's all about having doubt. If you're able to do it, if you're strong enough, it's a lot of self-confidence issue there, and it's a very human thing, and it's very good. And by the end, he overcame it, and that's part of the art of the movie. Um, the action sequence were great when we had a few. There was tension because we knew the villain were strong, and the good sister was a good character, much better than the bad one, and her flipping side and helping the good guys was very interesting. I liked it. And in the end, like the neutral sister picking a side and deciding to betray the evil one because the evil one didn't have a good motive, I guess. That was good. Um, and I guess usually I would say plot armor because she was able to help out Billy in the end. But to the movie defense, these are gods, and we don't know like they can live longer than human for sure. So even if she has a dead wound like that, it still makes sense that she can hold her own and stuff. Um, so yeah, this was a good movie. I liked it. I don't have much more to say, as I said. I've seen it in the theater, so I don't have as much notes as I would if I have seen it at home, you know? What would be your grade out of 10 for Shazam 2?
It'd be like a 6.5 or 7, so a little bit weaker, but yeah.
So I would give 8.5 out of 10, just like the first one. But here's the thing. After our discussion, I realized I liked the second one just a bit more. Even if it has weaker villain, I feel like the script and the story itself have less issues, and it's just a bit better for me, just a little bit, you know. Yes, there's all the smart ways to do Shazam and then turning into Shazam or Billy were gone in that movie, but this movie had other stuff to offer, like the power sets of the villains was very interesting. So yeah, I liked Shazam 2 a bit more than the first one. They are like on the same level. They are both 8.5 out of 10. These are two movies I recommend. Um, the Wizards, and the cast, the characters are very likable. It's a very good movie. So yeah, I guess except if you'd like to add something else, we can move on to John Wick 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, we can move on to John Wick, I guess.
Okay, so I marked down the timestamp. Um, John Wick 2, 3, 4. Now, just like Shazam, it's funny. Most of my issue will repeat themselves a lot. And I will also say this: the best John Wick movie for me was the first one. It was hands down the best one. It was the peak of the series, and it only got worse each entry. I still enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoyed each entry. They are entertaining, good action movie, but they they became like pale copies of copies of copies. You know, and each time it's like there's a downgrade for me.
Or nonetheless, amazing work and stuff. Yeah, there again. The big issue again is some. Also, this was originally supposed to be 5 films in the franchise, but they decided to only make a 4 because they didn't want to make 5. Um, but I feel like there should because there was also an hour cut out of the theatrical release of this film, so hopefully we get a director's cut that has the other hour in this because I feel like this needed
Hi,
another
this
hour
is
to really
Multi the
build up
Big
being a
Dog.
finale film and
Welcome.
to properly like highlight more characters and their conclusions because especially with new characters being introduced it doesn't feel completely finished to be a finale film in my opinion. I feel like this needed either one more film or this needed like an hour and a half more to really do it justice there in those areas. Nonetheless, yeah, there were moments with I don't know if there was some CGI see on the dog and stuff. Didn't look too great. There were points, characters falling didn't look too great. And stuff like that in like the CGI and stuff. But for the most part, so it made it feel a little less grounded that it was going for. But the grounded feel of it, but nonetheless, it didn't outweigh the positives that it brought with action scenes. So it was fine overall. But but yeah, the tone of it all was fantastic. The new characters introduced were really compelling and interesting to me. Again, the action scenes with again the I believe his name was Donnie Yen, I believe. Yeah, he was also, if you don't know, I don't think you've seen his other films, but yeah, he's kind of like an action star legend in China, and he was in this French. He's been in other films before, many other action films that were really good, but the thing he's most known for, I believe, is the Ip Man films. I don't know if you ever heard of the Ip Man films, but
Nope.
yeah, we might watch them if they're like an English dub of them, but yeah, that's what he's most known for, and he's the star in that. There's like 4 or 5 of them. It's kind of like the Chinese action, like John Wick, pretty much. So yeah, it was really cool to see him here as like that blind character, but yeah, action star legend. So to get him in this franchise at the end was fantastic. But yeah, that was all great. The villains were pretty much all great. They did the perfect like mix, in my opinion, of realism, but also but in a more dystopian, like comic book esque elements to them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm pretty much what was his name again? The main villain of this, it was
Baki.
like Bill Skarsgård. Yeah, he was like the definition of just like that fucking stuck up rich person you hate that just fucking it makes everybody do things for him that you just want to see get his fucking brains blown out that seemed untouchable. But yeah, that was fantastic. But yeah, there were things I might have like missed with my positives and negatives, because again, I didn't write down any notes either, so I might have to like rewatch it to refresh my memory.
They are face to face and they come closer and they just shoot like at the ears level, but not really in the head, and they just miss, and then they go into a fist fight because they are too close for shots. But I feel like this kind of things happen too much, or they are really close, but somewhat they find a way to miss their target. It bothered me many times, and just like when we talk about that, John Wick fell from the freaking entire staircase at the end. It was already crippled, and you make him fall from an entire staircase, and you're still able to go back and get back at it and like fight people. It's ridiculous. And all the times he got hit by a car.
Again, though, I mean, this isn't your normal human.
But there's limit. I mean, the movie requires.
There's limits, sure,
turn
but
off my brain. That's what the movie.
There's limits. There are limits, but I mean, and also getting hit by the car. I mean, I've worked with people
Many
who
times,
get
not
hit by
just
cars
once.
for real.
Like, how many cars?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I met people who get hit by cars for real to film realistic action scenes in indie films like 12 times in a row. I mean, yeah, it can happen. You can happen to people, especially who've been at this for quite a while. They can get through it, but yeah, I mean, the amount of damage he took, yeah. But again, you can see it in the action with him getting worse and worse. Like, and at like the staircase, it was his friend there who was like really helping him out near the end to get through it. So yeah.
Not once he sees a doctor in the entire movie, and he sustained as much damage as the 3 other movies combined. It's ridiculous.
Oh, well, you might have off screen, but I mean, he didn't really take any damage. He didn't take any damage in the hotel thing. Well, not hotel, but that one area, and he didn't take any damage, as much damage at least in the nightclub scene, any that you can easily heal from. It was mainly just like he took all of his damage pretty much from when he was on his way up top to the staircase for that tool. That's when
he
when
fell
everybody's
from
trying
the
to kill
building
him.
on top of the car after the church, the warehouse, and there was a fight in the highway, and the people were just going after him, and car just hit him like twice. No, it's for me. They went too far with this one.
And they might have. Again, they did go to the extreme because they really wanted to like. Again, it was a finale film, so yeah. But
so all of my issues.
Again, all I have to say though is adrenaline. I mean, I also watch
You make them fight. She feels different than John Wick. She has other ways to take down opponents, and she didn't sustain any damage because she was fast, she was tactical, she was efficient, she was smart. Bro, this is all you do, fight scenes with women. I want more of that. If they do a spin-off just with her, I will watch the crap out of it. She did amazing. I really like that a lot. This
no, we need more Birds of Prey action scenes and Charlie's Angels. That's what we need.
I'm telling you, she did amazing. And if we put side by side every movie in the John Wick franchise, this is probably top 5. Top 5 for me. It's the second best in this movie, and it's probably like third or fourth best in the entire franchise. That's how much I liked it. This movie, as I said, it's the most entertaining one. And just action aspect, while not looking at the script or anything, I think it's my favorite. That's when I look at the script that I'm like, I'm a bit off,
and also apparently this was like her first movie role as well. She's apparently a Japanese British pop singer. So
Wow,
yeah,
she did an amazing
yeah,
job. She deserves more jobs. She did great. Charisma, presence, she added all. That was just amazing.
yeah.
Um, Another great fight, the warehouse. We mentioned it earlier. My favorite part that makes the warehouse third place in this movie would be when the henchman tries to kill the dog. John Wick interrupts his fight against the other and shoot the guy to save the dog. That shows us that he won't let people go through what he went through, even if they are his enemy. And that was one of the best moments of John Wick characterization in the franchise. That was one of my favorite. The ending as well, the last punchline as well was amazing when he just shot the Marquis. That was like, wow, that was genius. But yeah, this movie has a lot to offer. Even if it's my least favorite, um, it has a lot to offer, and I will rewatch it anytime. That was one of a trip, man. It's adrenaline fuel, and the fight choreography. It's peak John Wick for me. Go on with your thoughts because you're more positive than us. How guys feel about that?
Mm. Well, I know Cole is definitely is definitely need some help after watching.
Uh, I mean, I can at least respect them for trying to up the scale a bit and trying to do more stuff instead of just like a trash Titans drama show the whole way through. It at least try to more things. The execution, well, we'll talk about that.
um, so I thought that was the worst episode we got so far. That was painful. That was awful. That was like, when you thought that it cannot get worse, but it actually gets worse, and you're like, bro, why? Why are you doing this to me, show? I want to like you, show. I'm honest. I don't do 8 watch. That's why I don't review stuff. And I'm just being honest. I just think it's the worst show I've ever seen. Actually, no, the pilot was worse than that. So it's actually the second worst episode. And I know that only because I see the scores. And this week got a higher score, I guess. But oh my.
By accident by the editor. That's what it looks like. And yeah, any action is shit. The news coverage is so garbage. And what makes this definitely still a terrible 2 out of 10 episode, which is my highest rating still for any episode, is the introduction was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. That was with the cop running and then the guy shooting himself. That had some of the funniest pace and dialogue I have ever seen in my life. That was and I also love the portion where they look at that book and they basically just parody a bunch of figures like Jack the Ripper, but in Gotham version. That was really nice. I totally did not recognize what fucking bullshit they were doing there. But anyway, yeah, this it's like no matter what this show attempts to do, it's never gonna have a good episode for me because the camera work, the editing, and the amateur ass acting and all this stuff will stick in each episode unless they have new people making it. So it's like even if they fix like some of the dialogue in an episode, or I like what they're doing in certain things, the execution is still going to be terrible. So it's still at most going to be like maybe like a 3 out of 10 episode, honestly, or maybe a 3.5. Like it's just horrendous. But yeah. What about you though?
Bruh. Okay. If I take the ground right now, we are on for a long discussion. So I will let DC share his dislikes, the things he didn't enjoy in this episode. So that's what did you hate it? What did you dislike? What are your issues with this episode, DC?
I don't think I have a single issue because the more I watched this episode, I was like, yeah, there's really no issues with this episode. There's none for me.
Oh, very interesting. Enjoyable take. So, I guess since you don't have any issue, let's start off with mine. We are there for a great trip. The music isn't needed. Hell yeah. Not funny. The dialogue, filler rant about being tired. The dialogue is bad. A secret society that keep giving coins to everyone. What the fuck? Like every week, we find new coins. Backstory told instead of shown. They try hard to be funny when it's not. Another love triangle with Blondie and the brother. They want us to feel sorry about sad backstory, but I feel nothing. The greatest detective getting trapped by a mole that got caught by kids. So what I mean by there is, the girl betrayed Bruce, but the kids kind of figured it out, and Bruce was meant to be the greatest detective. What is going on with that? Am I nitpicking too much? Um, the more Talon show up, the less scary he is. Like, it was a threat in the first 2, or I should say 3 episodes, but this week it was laughable. He got shot down by a freaking crossbow shot. Are you kidding me? Like, I feel like they used him so much that his screen presence is not as felt, and he felt like a freaking monster killer creature beast. He felt like the alien, but human. But this week he felt like a parody. Like, I was like, bruh, he's just running after them with a sword. There's no way it's not a parody. There's no way nobody was laughing on set. I'm sure the bloopers are amazing with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So I had a few likes because I'm honest. I like the opening scene, even if Cole didn't. The opening scene with the guy going crazy and stealing a gun and then shooting and killing himself. That was actually surprising. I was like, oh my, the first scene is actually appealing, and the first scene actually hooked me into that episode. But then a lot of issues happened. After that, the investigation stuff was decent. I feel like the investigation aspect of the show is good. At least they nailed that part. But the rest is so bad that even if it's one good thing, I feel like it's the diamond in the rough. Neighbors need for something. Be right back. Exactly what I'm talking about. His neighbors are really annoying because his neighbors, they know he has something on Tuesday, but they still f around and bother him. Bruh. Um, so yeah, the investigation stuff was decent, as I said. RV as a character is still a standout character. He's the only character I like. Well, maybe I like a little bit Duella, the Joker daughter. Um, um, so yeah, RV is just amazing. What do you think about RV? Do you like RV? Do you dislike RV?
I like Harvey's character. I like how he is a very political character, and I think, yeah, I think he's one of the best characters ever behind the group.
Yeah, I think he is much better than anyone in the group for me. I actually enjoyed the cliffhanger because I'm like, oh, okay, that thingy there is a zombie and he's coming back. Um, so yeah, I guess now we can move to score because Cole said his own score, and I don't think he has much more to say because we repeat ourselves a lot. Me, I'm a bit more specific in my notes, as you can see. But yeah, my grade out of 10 would be 1.5. That was really bad. That was painful for me. The only worst episode we got was the first one. I thought the first one was a 0.5. Literally. Like, I felt forced to give points. Just to not sound like someone that is not honest about what he's watching. But this week, 1.5 out of 10. Actually, I have no clue what kind of audience they want. They just do what they think is funny or what they think is good, but they don't know. Like, sometimes it's a sitcom, sometimes it's a superhero TV show. Like, it's all over the place. It's not consistent. And this episode was the biggest disappointment for me so far. I think this is hands down the worst episode the show ever had. Like, I can't think of an episode that was worse than this.
Yeah,
Ever.
I mean, yeah, this episode I only wrote down one word for my notes. You want to know what it is?
Bad?
Yeah, boring.
Bro.
This is actually just like a garbage sitcom episode. This is a nothing episode.
Yeah, exactly. And this makes me so sad. I defended the show the best I could, but I cannot defend this shit. Is there other issues you'd like to share, Cole, since you're there?
I mean, just bad writing, bad acting, just bad character dynamics. Just what's the point of this whole episode? I don't even really remember what they did because it's just talking and talking with no substance at all, and then the end.
Like, but when you implement that in dialogue the way you do, it's trash. Don't do that. Because you make it look like it's unique. But if you want, like, equality and stuff, don't make it unique that, oh, look at that female mentor, Like, if you want to normalize something, don't make it unique and special when you speak about that. And the kind of dialogue Keon had want to make something that should be normalized into something unique and great, I don't know if I'm clear enough on that point. Do you guys see where I'm going at with my point there?
I do. Yeah, I know where you're going at.
It's
Yeah,
just not natural. Nobody in real life will say that kind of stuff, except for maybe some Twitter crazy people. But even there, I'm sure they would have better dialogue than this shit. Pet dog fixing Allegra. Bruh. I'm like, bruh, no, Cecile, get out of this house.
oh my god.
Bruh. This was terrible. This episode is just really bad. And this is funny because as I was watching, I flipped my head around just to find good things about it. Because at first I thought it would be a 0 out of 10, straight up. But then I was like, there's got to be something enjoyable about it, right? Right? Let's go into the only thing I liked. I admit, now Barry and Iris' relationship look more believable than past season. Better chemistry between the characters,
And the nothing. So yeah, there's my like. So some of the costume design I guess wasn't bad. And yeah, okay, that's it.
and you, DC, is there anything you liked about this episode?
Nope, there's no likes.
Nothing. Okay. So I guess that leads us to the score out of 10, starting with DC.
Zero. 0 out of 10.
I cannot blame you. I feel you. Cole, what
Yeah.
would be your grade out of 10?
Either like a 1.25 or a 1.5.
My grade would be 1 out of 10. That's hands down the worst episode of the show, and I said it. Gotham Knight was better than this week, and it's shocking.
I mean, for me, I hated the one episode more of that one fucking bitch centered around her, whatever her name is. So yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't even need to say her name. You know who I'm talking about.
yeah,
It's the one episode where she randomly shows up, and yeah, it's the episode about her basically.
yeah, it's this show is a disappointment. It's very sad, and you know what's the worst in this? They are in a 3 weeks break, so they're back at the end of April. That's the worst thing about this shit.
Oh, there's no Flash episode this week.
Yeah, they're on break for 3 freaking weeks. So
Oh well, I need to edit the thing then, I guess.
they air 2 really bad episodes in a row, and they dare to take a freaking break of 3 weeks. Now, I'm hyped because Oliver is back, probably as Spectre when the show comes back, and I think we are in for finally a good episode. It just took like 9 freaking episodes. Anyway, any closing thought on that horrendous episode that should never have been made in the first place?
No, not me.
Same, not for me either.
Okay, so I mark down the timestamp. 0 the Flash. With Earth Other Shadow. Clark addressing the way Jordan treated his grandfather. And the new suit tease was very interesting. So I thought, even if it's the weakest episode, I thought it had great moments. Bruno Mannheim, man, I think he's the best villain we got so far in this show. As much as I liked Tauro in season 1, Tauro had some kind of deja vu aspect to him. Like, it wasn't unique, but Bruno Mannheim, I feel like it's the first time I see that kind of threat, man. It's the first guy that has no physical power that we know of, that just calls out Superman, and that make John Henry Iron go mad and angry and stuff. Bruno Mannheim is just amazing. Well casted, well written. Yeah. What would be your grade out of 10, starting with Cole?
I'd give it like a 6 again. Lower 6 than one of the others, but yeah.
Okay. And you, DC?
A 5 out of 10.
Okay. So I'm the only one that enjoyed the crap out of it, as expected. I give this episode a 9.5 out of 10 because the 2 issue, they only took off half a point for me. This is still a standout episode despite being the weakest we got so far. I'm very excited to see what happens next. Any closing thought, anyone? I guess.
Not for me, no.
Okay.
Same.
The episode where? The episode. I actually forgot what I wanted to say. It's so forgettable that I forget what I want to say. Oh yeah. They played
continue.
fucking football in one episode. I'm not joking, these.
Yeah, and yeah, you know, I've seen church play football that's better than it, but you know,
They played
with a bunch
fucking
of
football.
teenagers, but yep. And then let's see,
Uh,
that Cal Western episode was fucking garbage as hell. It was like watching A Million Ways to Die in the West. Yeah, this is the crash lands on set episode was fucking horrendous. I mean, all of them are besides like one episode which was still horrendous, just not as much.
God.
Yeah, this also yeah that I've seen a lot of films like The Prestige or shows that do a lot of like magic stuff, and a lot of them are really cool. Yeah, the episode 5 I think is one of the worst episode or movie things involving like magician stuff that I've seen in my entire
Oh, that's
life.
the episode where they take away Constantine powers to save some money.
Yeah, it was it was actually fucking horrendous. It was like the way it was filmed and everything. It was fuck me.
and bro, they animated parts of that episode to save even more money. Like, it's no more about making a show; it's about saving money.
What?
Yeah, there was an entire part of an episode animated. I'm not joking, DC.
Oh my god.
There was like at least 10 minutes of that episode animated just to save some money. I roll my eye just to think about it. What else is really bad? Now, we just mentioned like really bad episode, but the entire story of the season is not better by any means. They kill off-screen Sarah just to give you a fucking plot twist. Look, here's the new Sarah. She's alien and human at the same time. Remember Sarah from Arrow? The badass assassin from Arrow that made season 2 amazing? Killed off-screen. You don't realize it because they want it to be a plot twist. They're like, look, she died. Again. But this time around, it's for good. Bruh.
Oh my god.
My frustration toward that is so big. It's... And they kill her off-screen in a filler episode on top of that. And for the first half of that season, she's not even with the rest of the crew. She's lost somewhere in space. Um, yeah, it's just godly awful. Um, the new Sarah is now a meme because the new Sarah is immortal. She has instant regeneration, and they play over that so much it's overplayed. Um, Now there's one good thing, but that's the only good thing about that season. And even there, I don't really like the storyline at its core because it means at first Constantine need to lose part of his identity to make it work. So Constantine loses powers, and his powers were always a part of his identity. So by losing his powers, he lost part of his identity. So his crusade is to get his magic back. The idea is interesting. You find ways, and this is by using some kind of drug. And I like the crap out of that storyline. But here's the thing. It's in the middle of shitty episode like the bowling episode, the fucking sitcom shit, and the rest of the trash episode. So Cole, I want to see, or I want to hear about the Constantine storyline. What did you thought of it? What did you feel?
On YouTube, you mentioned something like that, and even Flair's person, that sounded so bad, and
It's bad, but it's
oh my
legends
God.
in a nutshell. It's oh yeah, alien will invade. Let's get a wedding before that, bro. What the fuck? Really? Do you think like 5 years old are watching? And that relationship between Sarah and Eva feels so off here. Yes, the relationship was shit since season 4, but I guess it's fine. But no, it's really. Do you think like 5 years old are watching? And that relationship between Sarah and Eva feels so off here because it's not the same Sarah. It's a clone with half of human DNA and half of human alien. So it's not even the true relationship. It's just a new Sarah. It's just off-putting for me so much. If that was the true Sarah, the one that died off screen, I would be like, okay, I guess the relationship was shit since season 4, but I guess it's fine. But no, it's the new Sarah, the new fucking Sarah. She's the one that marries Eva. I feel like it's so unfair because like at that point it's like you're just that love interest. You're not a character. You don't get to love because you love the person. You just get to love because of the idea of love. I don't know if I was clear on that. Like, she's a Sarah clone. She's not Sarah, but yet Eva is still in love. So is she in love just with the idea of having love? Do you know what I mean? I think you guys don't know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
I know. I'm just zoning out because this is so.
Yeah, so not only it's a bad wedding and a bad timing, but the premise of it doesn't make sense for me. It's not a Sarah. It's not like it's like they get that wedding after 6 months of relationship because she appeared 6 months ago when the older Sarah died. This how I see it, and it doesn't make sense for me. But yeah, season 6 disaster, disgusting, really bad. What would be your grade out of 10? I think we cried and suffered enough here.
Yeah. I think we're all gonna go with 0 because that's my grade. 0. The worst.
What would be your grade, Cole?
Fuck. I mean, I don't really hand out 0 out of 10s, unless I do just jokingly with stuff, or stuff's like, also a 1 out of 10, but just insult, and then I'll give it like an imaginary 0 out of 10 on top of its 1 out of 10.
You can give 0.5. I did once that with.
I do one. I do decimal points like 1.5, 2.5, but I don't really. Outside of that, yeah, it's just 1 to 10, though not 0.5 or whatnot. But anyhow, yeah, so I guess a 1 out of 10, but yeah, it's this is worse than any She-Hulk episode.
I agree.
This season.
For me, it's a 2 out of 10, and the only reason why it's 2, it's Constantine. Take him out, it's a 0 for me. Constantine brings 2 points by himself. Even if I'm not a fan of everything they did, he carries that season for me. And if I ever rewatch this shit, I will just watch all of his scenes. I skip the rest. It's so bad. Anyway, man, I enjoyed this podcast here, and I will do exactly what you said. Yeah, the great idea to fix the kind of crash I had. I will edit that thingy there. Anything else you guys would like to add? I guess not. So, DC, what do you have going on your channel? Anything you'd like to... The music when Carrie went back in her room was so terrible. That's at the end of the episode. I'm like, bruh, I will have headache after that. I need to, like, forget about the episode. Like, can I have amnesia for once? Pacing, oh my, the pacing. I don't know how many times I mentioned pacing this episode, but the pacing. This episode, like, could have lasted 30 minutes instead of 40. I'm not joking. It's filler-filled. Last 5 minute-ish was filler. I feel like most of the episode was filler, actually. This episode, the only good thing that really mattered was Harvey Dent. And he's the best part about this show. He's the best thing about this show. and the mystery around him, and getting some of the pieces of him becoming Two-Face is great. And look, I think the anti-woke people are toxic, like really toxic. But I will admit, when they cover Gotham Knight, I watch it because I find that so funny. Because they just bros the crap out of the show, and they find issue I didn't find. So it's like that's the enjoyment I get when other people find other issue I don't find. It's just all Gotham Knight is. And Batwoman, it was the same thing, but I feel like, and that may be a hot take, I feel like Batwoman was better than this. when it's the hot take like that, it's like, wow. So yeah, we will see when I rewatch Batwoman, because we will eventually cover Batwoman here. We will cover the entire Arrowverse, and right now the only missing ones is like...
I mean, we can cover either Supergirl or Batwoman next after the Flash seasons.
I thought Batwoman before Supergirl. My idea was maybe we keep Supergirl until the release of Woman of Tomorrow, a bit like the Flash. So we will probably keep that one for a bit later. But Batwoman, yeah, that could be a great idea. Batwoman after the Flash. And we also got Black Lightning, which is a really, really good show. Very underrated, and not that many people. So I will edit that, just like what Cole said. Same thing as last week, because my computer is really bad. Anyway, I think we were talking about future topic being like Black Lightning and Batwoman before my computer crashed. So yeah, that's the plan. Black Lightning will be a very good show, but I think we will keep it for after Batwoman. The main reason is I know Batwoman will be bad. So I'm like, Black Lightning will be the treat, the candy at the end of the Black Tunnel, because it's dark there. Anyway, let's keep going with Gotham Knight. So, is any of you want to point out other issue before we move on to things we actually
I'm
like?
pretty much done with it.
The car chase, I did enjoy it. Some action is always appreciated. I need more action. The music was fine when they threw the money away. And it's rare I say that about the Gotham Knight TV show. RV living two lives and waking up in someone else's bed was intriguing. And then the cliffhanger with RV realizing something going on with him was great. I will say this. There's not much to say more. RV, you make the show watchable at best. So I think we can move on to the grades. Starting with Cole, what would be your grade out of 10?
This is between a 1 and a 1.5 out of 10.
Okay, my grade at first was a 5.5. But then I was looking back at the episode, and I'm like, is it bad or awful? And I was like, it was awful. It was a filler. It was a 4.5 out of 10. It lost an entire point for being filler. Because take it out, and you don't miss much. The only thing you miss is like the RV stuff. And this is funny because he's the only relevant part of the show so far. The kids, I just don't give a crap about them. It's very sad. Like, even the Joker daughter in the first episode was the best part of it. And the second, I was like, oh, she's enjoyable. But then, after the second episode, I'm like, I don't really care anymore about her. And the only really good thing I lash on is, like, RV. And it's sad, because I feel like she is trying her best. It's just the material she receives is just atrocious. And that makes the experience bad. It's just very, very sad. Anyway, for me, 4.5 out of 10. What about you, DC? What would be your grade out of 10?
A 9 out of 10.
That's good. That's the point of this podcast. Now you feel how I feel when we speak about Superman and Lois. You guys don't really enjoy it as much as me. So we both share some similar feelings.
Yeah.
So, next up would be The Flash, except if any of you would like to add one last thing about Gotham Knight. I guess that's a no. I guess that's a no. The Flash first season. What were your thoughts about it, Cole? Are you still alive?
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'm while doing this. I'm just typing some stuff up for someone for another stream. So my bad. Which episode are we?
Now we move on to The Flash first season.
All right. Okay. Yes. So when I I was hoping that I would get more enjoyment out of maybe some of the earlier seasons, at least in The Flash, when we decided to rewatch these. And I don't know about the other seasons, but I'll be honest, yeah, I did actually get more enjoyment out of season 1 on a rewatch. There were more things I liked, and there were more episodes I really liked, and I'll tell you which ones were my favorite episodes later on. But I will say, just the Flash versus Arrow episode, rewatching it was fantastic for me. So.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's really good to hear. That's actually one of the standout episodes. I always enjoy rewatching.
Yeah. It isn't my favorite, though. I'll tell you which one my favorite is. I think it's most people's favorite, though, because I'm pretty sure it's the highest rated online. I'm pretty sure it's like a 9.6.
Which one?
Out of Time, episode 15.
Oh, that's very interesting. I liked Out of Time, but I'm one of the few that will say that episode has a lot of issues. I actually like the follow up.
You didn't like it as much.
Yeah, I like the follow up much more than that one.
Which one is your favorite episode out of them?
And season one, I would need to like take a look at it, but because it's been a long time. I remember the overall season, what I liked and my issues. So my favorites, it's actually more than just my favorites in season one. It's my favorite in the entire show. Fast, I think it's because the three actors involved were better. I think.
I guess.
I think Stephen Amell when he first started was better than Grant Gustin when Grant Gustin first started.
Yeah.
They both improved a lot throughout their own shows, but I think Stephen Amell added better. I think it also comes down to the writing. Because I feel like the writing in Arrow was always more square and a bit better. So we both shared our like worst episode this season.
I mean, I pretty much just have two last things to say.
Before you ask, DC, what would be your
no,
least
I'm
favorite?
just saying that. I was just pointing it out. Yeah, go DC.
All right, so
Least favorite in season one.
All right, so I actually have three. It's episode 2, episode 7, and episode 20 is the Garage episode. Those are the 3 episodes I did not like.
Oh,
and
very interesting.
Yeah.
And why these 3?
Episode 2 was very, very forgettable, and I feel like Barry pulling off his mask in public. Like,
oh, you're right. That's
how did nobody saw that? It was like it's so obvious. I was like, I mean, it's not where people hate the Flash and he can go and do that. He's going out in public. And I'm like, wouldn't there be people around? And also, some of the scenes with Caitlin were so unbearable. Yeah.
She was rough in season 1. She was rough.
Yeah. In episode 7, I didn't like it because I thought it was so boring, so forgettable. And I mean, they had to bring Clock King from Arrow. I'm like, and it's like he served no purpose.
7 doesn't have Clock King. 7 is the episode where Barry loses power outage.
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
Clock King wasn't it? I can't even remember Clock King.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't in it. He was in the around like the hostage kind of area.
Oh, I remember now. You're right.
Yeah.
That's funny because that's one of the few episodes I keep skipping when I rewatch the season. So I think I actually remember this.
Yeah. You think that Barry and Clock King are gonna have an epic fight, and it turns out they don't even have it. It's so underwhelming. And Power Outage, I always thought that episode was just bland because of how it doesn't do anything other than just makes Barry lose his powers. And now,
so that's like the kind of seeds they plant throughout the movie, and they just end up being amazing because we get great payoff at the end. There's a lot of things to like about this movie, I think. The girlfriend character was very interesting. I enjoyed her a lot. I thought the speech about the girl getting laid at the search from the remember early in the movie there was a girl with cancer that was like, I want to get laid before I die, and it was in a freaking church. I had a laugh out of it. I was like, bruh, that can be a real struggle when you're dying and you want to fuck one last time. You're like, bro, that's some people may have that kind of thought, you know?
Yeah, and again, one thing I really liked the film did the whole way through, though, was leading up to the twist, by the way. If you rewatch this film ever, you'll see, like, in the dialogue with Brad Pitt's character, he's literally, like, telling you to his face what's going on, but on a first watch, you don't understand. But then when you rewatch it, like, he's literally saying it to your face.
Yeah, and in the end, the bar guy, when the terrorist cell is like active and stuff, we get the main character trying to investigate and trying to stop what he thought was his friend, and you meet one of the guy at the bar, and the guy at the bar thinks it's some kind of test and shit. And that's like the first kind of big seed that maybe he has 2 personality, and one of the 2 is the leader.
There's many things. There's many things. There's the 2 personalities things where he's both people. There's many things that involve the mind in this film. There's the drug use again. There's the therapy stuff. There's just many different like metaphors, messages in this film and story arcs that involves like the human mind playing tricks on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also funny how the group kind of rejected the main character at some point just before the character realized he has 2 personality. It was like, why everyone knows what's going on and I don't know what's going on, and it's just very well done, I think. And the music throughout the movie was great. It's also about self injuries and stuff. It's really dark, and the tone of the movie.
And I love the gritty style of it.
Yeah, the movie tackles that, like, it's a very dark topic, but they're able to kind of make fun of it without disrespecting it, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
And one of my favorite scenes is when the main character is threatening his boss and he's basically beating himself up to make it believable. That was hilarious. That's a standout. That scene was just priceless. I think I would just rewatch the scene just because after that he gets what he wants, and that comes back to like 2023. In 2023, some people threaten and they can be smart about it and win just because they were smarter than the other one. That's just wow. Um, so yeah, this movie was really good. I don't have much more to say there. Like, look, I wrote down a lot of notes, but I feel like I just repeat myself here and there. We covered pretty much everything. I really enjoyed it. So, what would be your grade, Cole, out of 10?
Yeah, I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. This and 7, and then one other film. I mean, again, he's made many great ones, but those two, and then one other that we'll get to later called The Social Network, are basically kind of the three films that he's most known for that are considered his best. So yeah, and yeah, he is incredible with these type of films, and yeah, I was really into this. But yeah.
So, DC, what would be your grade out of 10?
A 5.
Okay. My grade would be a 9 out of 10. In recent days, we had John Wick that had a 9 out of 10. I think I liked John Wick more than this. And I think I also liked more 7. I think 7 I also gave a 9 out of 10, I think. 7, I liked it more than this. So, yeah, the whole terrorist cell and stuff was also a really good part of this movie. Yeah. It was very believable. Anyway, any closing thoughts on Fight Club?
Not for me.
So, this is the start of the roasting session. If you want, you can stick around because that's the roasting session. But if you need to go or if you want to go, you are also free because now we will move on to I want to get shit done. And that's the appeal of him. And he's willing to break anything. And he is very impulsive. And this is special for a detective. Detective, usually they know what they're doing, they're in control. But most of the movie is out of control.
Yeah, and again, this is sort of like why it was so entertaining for its time. It's sort of like, because again, stuff like G.I. Joe was still in, and it's basically that type of thing, but then you put a creature like that in it, and everything just starts spinning out of control and shit, and then you have these characters, and then the comedy that blends well, and the one-liners, and the action and stuff, and the cool factor. Like, this is pretty much what was in during the 80s.
Yeah. So, I think I had seen in the past the first Predator movie, maybe 10 years ago. That most recent watch, I'm more critical, so I have a better opinion, I think, than 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, I enjoyed quite a lot of the movie. I guess we can dive a bit deeper into it. My issues are really similar in both movies. Let's start off with the first one. The intro of the first movie was way too long for its own good. Great fight. So that's it for the first movie for me. Any closing thoughts on the first movie?
No, that's about it. For me, I'd give it like a 7.5.
For me, the first movie is a 9 out of 10, and I think that's the weakest 9 we got tonight. I liked Fight Club.
Yeah, a 7.5 or 8, I would say, around that area. But again, there are things where, for me, they don't hold up as well. But yeah, I was surprised you gave it a 9 because I thought, I guess not having to say too much isn't the same as not liking it. So
Yeah.
I just thought for some reason you were going to say you weren't going to like it though. But yeah, okay, so that's interesting. So you like Predator films a lot more than the Alien films.
Yeah, because there's more action.
And well, for a lot of people, it seems to be the opposite. They really love the Alien films more.
I think Aliens, it relies so much on stupid character moments. Like both movie, like all three movie relies so much on stupid characters. But I feel like the Predator movie, they don't have these kinds of issues. Most of the points I was taking out from Alien was stupid character moment. There are so many, but I feel like in Predator, so far with the first two, there's not that many stupid character moment that I can remember. Or maybe they were, I just didn't notice. But if I didn't notice, then that's good. Really, like, Alien biggest sin for me was really all these stupid character moment, like, oh, let's go where we should not go. Oh, there's an alien there. Let's play with the thing. It's a friendly thing. Oh, I died. It's like, bro, you ran after it, bro. Yeah, that's how I feel. I think the Predator movie are better because they don't leave that much room to do stupid stuff. But maybe I'm wrong.
Fair enough. Anyway, so the second film for you?
The second movie, I actually enjoyed it a bit more because there was more action in it.
Yeah, okay. And as I pretty much said everything about that as well, so you can go on.
Okay, let's go on. Okay, Predator 2, my issues. People can't freaking aim in the hallway. The criminal were running away. That was... Bro, The first firefight outside in the streets was actually decent. People were hitting targets that were killing other people. I enjoyed that. But then in the hallway, because they wanted the guy to go on the roof, they forget how to aim. They are just like, oh yeah, let's just shoot because we shoot. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Next up, the detective being on the subway, crime scene, white all gloves, and contaminating evidence by opening lots of bags. That bothered me. That kind of stuff, man. He's a detective. He should know. Even if he doesn't care about rules and others, he should know, bruh. You don't do that. You don't. Anyway, that's the second issue. The third issue, plot armor again during the fight, since he could get hit more than once by the monster. We know how strong the Predator is. There's no way the main character could sustain like 2 or 3 hits from that Predator. So yeah, 9 out of 10. And
You know what that means, though?
what?
It means that your opinion is wrong. I'm sorry.
I should have expected that. Very funny. Yeah, I'm wrong. I'm always wrong. I'm wrong to like Superman and Lois. I'm wrong.
You like Batwoman? What the fuck?
What are you talking about? I don't. I try my best to defend the show, but this is not a good show.
I give it like a 5.5 out of 10, which is again solid. Just has a lot of issues for me. It's way weaker for me personally.
Yeah,
First,
I can get that feeling. I can fully get it. Because it's very similar to the first one. But yeah, any closing thoughts on Predator before we move to the outro and the ending of the stream?
No, that's about it. But yeah, I'll repost the schedule for the next 2 weeks at least for later tonight in the chat.
Yep. Man, I had a blast. Like every week. Thank you very much for your time. This is amazing. Is there anything you'd like to plug or share?
No, that's about it. Thanks again.
So that was another great week. I'm excited for Stargirl next week to come back in Titan. Are you excited or not at all because it's Titan?
Yeah, Titans. I'm just glad it's only 1 per episode.
Anyway, so yeah, that was another great week. Thank you very much, everyone that has been watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. We will see each other in future stream and videos. And Cole, have a great night and take care, man.
You too.
We are live. Welcome to the RedBlue Pod number 42, and some of you may notice a very short title. The biggest reason, Cole is sick. He won't be able to make it today. Maybe tomorrow we will have a extra podcast if he feels better. Otherwise, that will go to next week as usual. And how are you, DC?
Very, very rough. For those that don't know, I
escaped on episode 18, because at that point Barry did add the Tachyon device, or I forgot the name, so it was faster at that point. But before that point in the season, Barry wasn't able to stop Zoom, and I'm fine with that to some extent. If Zoom is faster, it's okay. Make Barry train, make Barry fight other villains to get better and stronger, you know? That was the point of having speedster villain every week, every season for the first 3 seasons. But my true issue is really, in episode 18, they could have ended the season there, but they didn't, because they had a 23 episode run, and they wanted to keep the entire cast for 23 episodes and stuff. That's my true issue, because I'm fine with Barry losing. But episode 18 should have been the end of Zoom. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I could understand that.
About Barry giving away his speed, what is your take on that? Do you agree with me to say it's stupid, or do you disagree because you have another perspective you'd like to share?
I'm kind of like in the middle. Like, I understand why, because first off, it's not easy to negotiate with psychopaths. Like, I've been in that situation numerous times, and it's very difficult because they really don't care. But I feel like, and I understand Barry's reason, but at the same time, I felt like, couldn't Barry just come up with a backup plan, like to come up with a plan to like trick Zoom, like instead of actually gaining the speed, he actually steals Zoom speed, and like I wish they came up with smarter ideas. Like Barry tries to come up with a plan to steal Zoom speed, but Zoom it backfires on him. I kind of wish they came up with ideas like that, because then episode 19, they have the whole episode is Barry getting the speed back, and it kind of feels pointless. I mean, the Speed Force episode is the best episode of the season for me, but I feel like that episode should have been the next episode, like episode 19.
Yeah. So these aren't like my big issues with this season. Like most of the back half, like 18 and upward, is filler for me. It's like, oh, Barry is more than just speed. He is someone that doesn't hurt. At least we got an amazing scene where Zoom just killed off an entire police precinct in Jitters. That was actually amazing. But outside of that and upward, that part of the season was much, much weaker than the rest. Is there anything you did like in season 2?
There are things I liked. I mean, I like Zoom's introduction, Zoom's music, the multiverse concept, even if I may have some problems with that. Flashpoints, the Flashpoint ending, and some of the storylines, some of the scenes, some of the fight scenes. I mean, there's stuff I still like about this season. Just as a whole, I have probably more issues with season 2 than really any other season. apart from maybe season 9.
Yeah. Season 9
Yeah.
is really hard to beat on how bad it is. And that's disappointing because I really wished it was better. Like, I don't want to sit and 8-watch. I just want to enjoy The Flash. And I'm with you. Season 9 is the worst so far.
There's also more connection there. So for me, I think they've always had their chemistry. They always have chemistry with each other. Not to mention, I could actually sense Barry and Iris more together than any of Barry's other quote-unquote relationships. I mean, the closest one I could kind of see was Lisa Snart, aka Golden Glider from season 1, who also appears in this season, like in the first half, in episode 3, but she quickly disappears. But even then, it wasn't like a romance stuff. But yeah, I do think Barry and Iris did have chemistry in season 2. I think they had chemistry throughout the entire show. But it's probably because I think they just work really well together. That's my take on it.
You know, that's very interesting because we are very different on that here again. I thought Patty Spivot had crazy chemistry with Barry, and I was disappointed to see her go, like, back in the day when the show was airing and I was watching weekly. I was disappointed. I was like, what happened? Why? And when I rewatched, I'm like, man, they did a huge mistake to get rid of Patty like that. I liked Patty's character a lot, and I feel like it's much more organic because they have similar interests. And they are both, like, geeks, and they are both very smart. And they are just a better match, I think. But here again, that's just me. I just feel like they're a better match than Iris and Barry. And both actors also work very well on set as well. They have some of the best scenes in shipping and stuff for me. Like, the perfect example would be the date they get. I think that was like the first or the second date where Barry is basically blind and he has glasses and he speaks with Cisco and stuff. I always remember that date. Do I remember any of the date with Barry and Iris? Not really. Not really. And they had much more dates. They had much more chance at having it memorable and something I can remember, but they just missed the mark. Maybe I'm just the Iris hater because I thought she was a bad character after season 2 ended. So yeah, Patsy, she was a great addition. She was a really good love interest, and I enjoyed her character a lot. So welcome to R2. Let's go back to it. I really enjoyed that episode. Seeing Deadstorm and Killer Frost for the first time was amazing. I just enjoyed it a lot. And
episode 10 was another one I did not enjoy. In that tar pit episode, it's the one I think, or Griffin Grey one of those two. I think it was the Griffin Grey one because it's the one he didn't have his powers. But yeah,
Griffin Grey, I think, is it the Rupture one or Back to Normal?
I think it's back to normal because in the episode he did not have his powers. I think in Rupture Barry had his powers.
No, Rupture didn't have his powers. That was automatic E for me. He got back his powers in episode 21. I think. Let me see. So versus Zoom was kind of low for me because it didn't make sense.
Like seriously, I was questioning. Think if that's not you, that's that's an alternate version of you. It doesn't mean it's the same you. And yeah, that's another thing about season 2 that I did not like was how many side villains were really lame. Like Kingshire was one of the few good ones, but that's because he got better later on.
Yeah,
I don't even remember his name. I know he had a competition with Barry, and even in the streets, which how did no one see a giant shark walking around? That blows my mind. The Gorilla Grodd episode, the Gorilla Grodd was weaker because of how it's been months since season 1, and yet not a single person could tell that there was a giant gorilla in a giant gorilla around the city. It's baffling. I mean, there's so much wrong with the main villain, with the villains of the week in this season.
Hours and hours of fun. So yeah, Rupture, I really didn't like that episode. When I ever rewatch that, I will just watch a cliffhanger. Barry dies. Zoom get mad because Barry died and I didn't kill him. So my third worst episode is episode 18, and this is funny because that could have been amazing if they didn't take away Barry's speed. That could have been amazing if they actually stopped Zoom at that point instead of just like milking the crap out of it. I'm like, brah, done the milk. No more milk. I will develop a intolerance. Too much milk there. I really didn't like episode 18. It ruined the season for me. I was like, bruh, most of the first half is like 10 out of 10, and then you pull that one off. You tell us Barry can stop Zoom, but because the plot wants Zoom to get away, Zoom will get away. It's one of the most insulting thing to ever do to a viewer.
Yeah.
I really hate that. So yeah, overall the season, as I repeat myself a lot, was the best season for me, despite that big issue. If 17 out of 23 episodes are amazing, this is an amazing season, for me at least. Anyway, I guess, except if you have closing thoughts or stuff you'd like to share, I guess we can move to grade out of 10 for this season. I guess you don't have anything else to add?
Yeah, I don't.
So I would give this season a 9 out of 10. The Zoom stuff really ruins it for me. It's very sad. I will defend to the teeth that season because I still believe that season is strong and this was the last good season of the show. But that's just me. What about you? What would be your grade out of 10?
A 4 out of 10.
Oh, edgy, edgy. I've never heard someone else giving that grade to that season. Very interesting.
Yeah. If we gave this like a letter grade, I would have given like a D minus. But I mean, 4 I think is close enough to a D minus.
Interesting. I cannot wait to see your final grade for season 9 once season 9 is over. Maybe the back half, maybe the last 5 episodes will salvage the boat, but I think the boat is already sinking. So, if
I don't think the last 5 episodes are going to save the show. I mean, with Oliver Queen returning, I already had bad feeling that it would not be good. So I don't really expect it to be good.
Season 9 right now for me is like a 3 or a 4. No, actually, no, it's worse than that. Season 9 for me so far, it's a 2 or a 3. And
Well,
depending on the ending, like, even if the ending is fabulous, there's no way it's going higher than 6. So, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I looked it up. I looked it up, and it was intentional as a joke.
Well, actually, I didn't find it funny because I didn't get it. So it's still an issue for me.
Well, okay.
So, what would be your issues?
I don't really have any issues. If anything, maybe maybe there could have been God, how do I say? Could have been maybe more scenes at different times of the day, maybe to mix it up, but be a bit too much like daytime scenes, if anything. I don't know if that's really an issue though. And then just not an issue that removes any points, just something that I would maybe like to see instead. If I would have to say any issue, maybe the Rowan scene, as great as it was and as amazing the music was, you can maybe say it didn't really belong in the film like that. I don't know. You can maybe bring that up as just like feeling out of place maybe, but like yeah, outside of that, I don't really have any issues. It does amazing with everything else.
Okay, so there's a lot of things I liked. I enjoyed a lot this movie. The opening scene at the bar was really interesting. The main character was very interesting. So it was hilarious because he is socially awkward, and I feel like maybe he is autistic, but I may be wrong on that. Maybe that's just a performance, or the actor, or the character. I don't know where exactly, but that's not a negative thing. I mean, if it's well depicted, maybe I'm judgmental here as well. I don't know, but I think he was very calculating everything, and he wasn't able to like spot on literal thing like figurative speech. Figure of speech. He didn't really understand figure of speech. If you know what I mean, like it's really hard for me to explain, but the way he was speaking, it's like you cannot really make joke because he will not get the joke.
It's like a message, with being too engrossed into this.
Yeah.
Like a robot, kind of like, yeah.
It's like I suspect based on that movie, and maybe it's the movie depiction or the people understanding on Mark Zuckerberg that may lead that. But I suspect he may be autistic because a lot of autistic people are like that. And I generalize a lot because I did study that for 2 years. I studied special care counseling for 2 years, so I have like good knowledge on the topic, like all the brain function and socially stuff and people speaking with each other and interaction and stuff. So I suspect maybe is somewhere in the spectrum of autistic people. But of course he's functional because look at him, he has money, he was very smart and stuff, and it's not negative. Like a lot of people thinks when we say you're autistic, that's an insult, but that's not. It's only some people that use that as an insult that don't really get it. That it's not kind of insult you can make. It's not something that's negative. They have flaws. Autistic people, it's very sad what they are living through on a day to day, but they have strengths. Like they are really smart people because they are very analytic on a way other people are not, and they're called freak because of that sometimes, and it's a bit sad. So when I say he's autistic, it's not to insult or anything. It's by respect as someone that knows autistic people. Like we suspect my half brother.
Listen, it's fine to insult him though, because he's a piece of shit in real life.
But
that's
maybe
the movie
not.
to pick, so
maybe that's because
he kind of is. Don't worry, he kind of is, and that's what also kind of the ending of the film is like. It's like but he has like no friends. He's just trying to send the friend request to at the end and won't accept. Just waiting forever.
But here's the thing:
that's
autistic people they do struggle to make friends. Jerk, but they at some extent they were right. They were like the main point of conflict of the movie. Mark, previous best friend, suing him as well, and the reason of why. I enjoyed that a lot. The secret blowing up in the face of the friendship between Mark and Andrew. I call Andrew because I don't know the name of the character. So I will say this. Usually, I'm not the biggest fan of "you lied to me." We are no more friends because you lied to me. But I think in this movie that made sense because there was money and the character felt real and the lie also felt real. We could see why one could keep that kind of secret and why the other would be angry at him for doing that. So that whole secret drama aspect was fine. I liked it. The main character getting slapped back by the girl he dated earlier. So that's basically in the restaurant. At some point, they are in a restaurant for rich people, and then he sees the girl he dated at the start of the movie, and he's like, "Oh, you're there. Can we talk a minute?" And she's like, "No, I don't want to talk to you." And they had that whole argument, and I was laughing my butt off because I was like, "Man, she doesn't want to speak to you. Leave her alone." But it's socially awkward, so you kind of like let him do his thing, you know. um, Next up would be the meeting with the chairman that says the idea wasn't stolen. That showcased that at some extent Mark may be right and they may be wrong into doing what they did. So it's funny. It's also a way to make it self-aware, and I think it's also very realistic. That's how a chairman would react, I think. The chicken story was hilarious. Andrew Garfield girlfriend waking him up. Oh yeah, that's actually the no, that's not the French thing. I can't remember. Uh, Both lives of both friend being messed up. Co-founder losing everything. The cops ending the party. You're not an asshole, Mark. You're just trying hard to be one. The business destroying friendship. Um, so yeah, don't mix friendship and business. That's one thing. So yeah, I liked a lot of things in the movie. It was enjoyable. There are a lot of things I didn't care about, like that subplot with the Olympics and the team that wanted to do the Olympics and stuff. I didn't care about that subplot. I didn't dislike it. I just didn't care. So, I guess. Do you have anything else to add before we move to the grade?
For me, no.
So, what would be your grade out of 10?
For me, it would be either a 9.5 or a 10. For me, this is top three he's ever made, next to Seven and Fight Club, and this might be my favorite. Like on the surface, it might not be as stylistic as Fight Club or Seven, but I really think this is might be his overall best crafted film. Then yeah, I really love it. Yeah, that's all. What about you?
Ash. I could understand Barry at some extent, or even Iris, because she knows that there are darker days that are coming because she thinks she will die for most of the season. But everyone seems so bummed, and it's because of the script, because of the direction. It's not because of the actor. That's really because they wanted a very dark tone storyline. And I'm fine if we still had these light-hearted moments, but we didn't add any. And I also liked a lot Julian Albert, but he felt out of place. Even if it was really needed in the story, he was that one character that was always serious, but he could still bring some laugh out of you. And I don't know if that was the intent behind it, but yeah, that season was really rough because of the tone. Um, the other thing is the pacing of the Flashpoint storyline. It's wasted. Flashpoint has been wasted in the third season. I will eventually make a video on how to rewrite some of the season that didn't work for me and some of the shows I enjoyed, like The Flash. Like in my version, I would have a Flashpoint that lasts like at least 6 to 7 episodes to really explore that other dimension. Because they threw everything they could in episode 1 just to get you hyped and excited. And then episode 2, it's like the start of a new season. It's no more really Flashpoint. And it's sad. It's just, it feels wrong. He wasn't always at Star Lab and stuff. In season 3, Iris is just there to be a plot device to motivate the villain to do his villainous things, and she's just someone that faces death, and it's not well executed, that aspect of it. It's a good idea, but it's not well executed because it's the Flash, and Iris is not that great of a character that season, and it's sad. I really wish she was done better, but she was dirty that season, I think. So yeah, these are my issues. That season is really rough for me, and I will admit it. My most recent watch, I enjoyed it much more than what I remembered, but I also have seen much more issues that before I haven't noticed, like Barry, the way he is treated in the future Flash episode. So these are my dislikes. So I guess now we can move on to the likes. I think Cole already touched upon some of his likes.
I pretty much touched upon all of them, so you can go.
Yeah. So DC, since it's your favorite, well, not favorite, but since you liked it more than us, what would be your likes about this season?
I enjoyed the the more depressing tone. In my defense of it, I personally think Flash worked better in season 3 than they did because with Zoom, they set him up pretty quickly as to be one of the most terrifying villains in the multiverse. I mean, he beat the crap out of Barry and literally is like a demon. I feel like you should take a villain like that extremely seriously. But I mean, they still have some goof moments here and there, and I think that kind of took away from the joy of season 2. Whereas in season 3, I feel like it makes more sense. Someone is literally in danger and gonna die really soon. And you can't change the future, and I enjoy that depressing, more somber feel. I enjoyed the how Flashpoint kind of goes on, becomes like the major storyline for Savitar and Barry and the team. I also enjoy how they set up some filler episodes like with Plunder and Gorilla Grodd as very important to take in the for Iris's storyline. Yeah, and I also enjoy Savitar as a villain. For me, he's a lot better than Zoom, just because even though he can be confusing, I can sort of understand him better. Because it's just Barry that loses a version of Barry that loses Iris and goes crazy and becomes the Savitar eventually. Yeah.
It's also a kind of Barry that got discarded and they didn't like that feel. That's why he kind of turned villain. And that aspect of it is interesting, but I don't. I think it could have been done better. But yeah, keep going with other likes if you had other likes.
I also think the character of Julian brought a lot of joy in as well, and he's one of the characters I miss in the later season.
Yeah, I'm with you with that. Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, so my likes. I actually thought Doctor Alchemy was much better than Savitar, and in my version of season 3, he would have been a supporting villain to set up Savitar a bit like here, but he is the focus for like 6 or 7 episodes instead of being like the focus for like I believe 2 or 3 episodes in this case here. I thought Doctor Alchemy was very interesting. He has interesting powers. And Julian Albert was also a great supporting character this season. I also miss him a lot in later season. He is the kind of likable jerk, and I like that character a lot. Caitlyn becoming Killer Frost because of Barry was fine, and it kind of set up the back half, the quest to save Iris. But the way they do it in the back half, the way they save Iris, it didn't feel right because of some of the filler episode splashed into it. I can't even remember what happened in episode 10 or in episode 12. I remember 11 only because of the title where Gipsy fights Cisco, and 13 and 14 are really good. 15, I think, is the episode where Wally got trapped. Episode 16 is Speed Force, I liked it. Episode 17 is the terrible, awful musical. We also had Abracadabra. I like the idea of the character, but his episode was terrible. Another filler among many. So, yeah, I think we can move on to the overall grade for this third season of The Flash, starting with Cole, because it's been a while you haven't spoke. Cole, what would be your grade out of 10?
Sorry. It'd probably be around the 4.
4 out of 10 for Cole. What would be your grade out of 10, DC?
A 9 out of 10.
Okay, and my grade would be a 6.5 out of 10. Coming into that season, based on what I remembered, I thought it would end up being like a 5 or a 6, but it was a 6.5 because there are some highlights. I really enjoyed some of the characters. I really enjoyed some of the ideas they had. For me, it's a 6.5. For me, it's like mediocre at best, but could be worse. There are some episodes that are enjoyable to rewatch and stuff, but overall, I thought we had better and worse season for this show. So, anyone would like to add more to The Flash before we move on to Gotham Knight?
Not for me.
And I guess not for Cole.
Not for me.
Okay, so next topic, Gotham Knight, Season 1, Episode 6. I will mark down in the timestamp. Is there any other issues you had with this episode, Cole?
Yeah, just the same things as per usual outside of the dumb story stuff like those 2 things. Just edit in, act in, write in, direct in, all that stuff. I did think the cinematography was a bit better in this episode, but yeah, that's about it. And again, all those reasons are why even the best episodes are still kind of bad to me. So yeah, but I didn't think it was as stupid as it was in other episodes in the other story parts. And there was just like the one episode that you said you really hated, and when those like masked fucking owls came out, I actually thought was one of the better ones because at least they gave us something to work with, a bit more of some character arcs and all that in the story actually kind of progressing into somewhat of an interesting area maybe. And this was sort of the same thing this episode, not good execution wise, but at least they gave us something. Definitely, and there wasn't the opening scene wasn't fucking ridiculous as it was in the other ones at least. So yeah, this was one of the least shit ones. So yeah, there we go. You can go now.
So I will go before you, DC, because you probably don't have as many issues as us. So next up would be Turner accepting to meet Joe Chill despite the sister warning that it could be a trap. I will still call them sister, brother, and daughter of the Joker because I don't care about their name. I don't remember their name, and they are not good
She's
enough for me
horrible.
to remember their name.
It's just, again, it's like if you fucking combined. God, what's a good comparison? Let's see. It's like if you combine somebody who's trying to go for the most like edgiest, pretentious performance ever, sort of like Ryan Johnson with The Last Jedi, and then you combine that with Margaret Robbie's Harley Quinn, where it's just, oh lol, I'm so random. Then you get Joker's daughter in this.
um, so yeah, it could be a trap, but hey, let's do it. Next up, dialogue is as bad as ever. Joe Chill happens to know stuff, and yet the court didn't kill him before. Why now? Why now?
Well, it's like they always say on Gotham Knights, whatever the court's up to, it's going to remain a mystery. It's just a mystery.
Joe Chill reason of why he would be alive doesn't add up for me since from the start he was a loose end that should have been tied up. Um, Court of All didn't hesitate to kill people. They didn't care about people. So why leaving him alone? Like you let him kill or whatever, pretend you let the story run that he killed the Waynes, and then you just send him on death row, and this way, like your loose end is ended. um, yeah, it doesn't add up. It doesn't. Like he's a time bomb for the Court of All that wants so much secrecy. The pacing was bad. Where did Turner learn how to fight? He got demolished on a fist fight on the first episode, and now suddenly he can take on people. What the fuck? What happened? Did he downloaded Kung Fu and stuff like the Matrix does? No, you need to show us he trains or he learns how to fight to then let him fight because right now he came from a really bad fighter in episode 1 to a impressive fighter by episode 6. And if we really follow the timeline, maybe it's a few weeks, maybe a few months at best. And at no point it showed on screen that he trains or anything. So these skills to fight others, they came out of I don't know where. They just appeared. Next up would be the fight choreography is bad, too blurry. It was too blurry. Are you kidding me? Too blurry. So Cole, we'll be right back. So with that being said, these are my issues. What would be yours, DC?
I don't think I have any issues. I thought this was, again, another 10 out of 10 episode.
Wow, you really enjoyed the show. Man, you're lucky.
Yeah. It's like whenever we talk about Gotham Knights, it's like we have, it's like I'm like the outcast, like the Gotham Knights. Like I'm the only one who really enjoys the show. I feel probably the only one who actually likes the show at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
One
And
person-
it's the same thing for me in Superman and Lois. Guys never, well, guys think it's Berserker at best, and I just enjoy the crap out of it.
Same. Yeah, I think Cole likes that Superman Lois a lot more than me.
Yeah. But that's fine, man. That's the point of this podcast. I enjoy having other opinion around because
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like an echo chamber. And you're like that person that genuinely like the show and that watches the show because you enjoy it. So because of that, people cannot say the entire panel hates it, and we don't sound like an echo chamber. You know, like if you were not around, people would tune in and see our podcast. It would be like, oh yeah, that's another 8 echo chamber, but that's not the case because you actually like the show, and that's fine. Take their time because they think we are stupid and we didn't realize. I guess these are my likes. The Willa, as usual, is just fine, and yeah. What are the things you enjoyed about this episode, DC?
I enjoyed the whole Joe Chill storyline, the way how they kind of set up where Joe Chill didn't actually murder Bruce Wayne. That they set up like the court did. It makes the court more of a threat. What he says, the conversation that he and Turner have, I think was great. I think Turner coming to see Harvey Dent and having Duella, I mean, it makes sense because you really wouldn't trust people, especially if you think everyone thinks you're a murderer at the very least. So obviously you need to have some backup because you don't know when it could be a trap. Harvey Dent, like you said, I thought was a great character. I think Harvey Dent always steals the show for me. It's like whenever he comes, it's like you're just bound to find something, whether it's related to court or is he just gonna have a normal talk. And I think he makes the show 500 times better, especially his conversations with Lincoln March before Lincoln March dies was great. Especially the whole twist that is Harvey actually working with the court, because we know that obviously in one episode when Lincoln gets the coin, you know, Harvey didn't obviously get him, but when he used that twist that it could have actually been Harvey's split personality that we learned in the last episode, you kind of start to build up more of a mystery. I really enjoy that. It's one thing I'll give credit for it. And yeah, fight scenes for me, I thought they attempted to do a very Mission Impossible, John Wick like style, which I really enjoy. And I enjoyed that fight at the end where they're just taking down that drug organization as well. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot more likes on your part, and this is expected because you enjoyed the show. So anything else?
Not for me.
Okay, Cole, are you back, buddy? So I guess Cole is still occupied right now.
Yeah. I think he's probably has to deal with crazy neighbors like he has dealt with last couple of times.
Yeah, his neighbors, man, his neighbors, they don't get it.
Yeah, it's like his neighbors are like his nemesis at this point.
They are the obstacle, the biggest villain that he ever met.
But also the director, which you don't see, during the film. And yeah, his eating and drinking habits affected his health throughout all of production, and he also got injured while directing it. And also, yeah, again, the film that I said he watched like 50 times, it was Stagecoach. If anyone ever heard of it, it's basically a western with John Ford. But yeah, and also another thing that was revolutionary, the cinematography and the makeup effects, all that in the film were a first. So anything before this film looks completely different. Yeah, he was actually injured twice during filming. Damn.
Wow.
But yeah, he also Wells knew that with all this creative freedom to make the film and all the weird things they were doing, that was revolutionary, like the flashbacks and everything that they think would confuse audiences with how films used to be. He had to distract studio executives instead of to try to answer, because he didn't want to try to answer for things like profit or changing it up. So he did a bunch of like magic tricks to distract them, and also he would say stuff like this opening scene with the newsreel sequence. He said it was just test footage and that he wasn't going to use it and don't worry about it.
Wow,
So, yeah.
man. Thank you for sharing. As I just mentioned, your insights and your knowledge on the movies we covered make this podcast unique, because I don't think people research stuff as much as you, and people don't tend to know as much as you. So this is very appreciated, man. I like it.
The present day characters, the ones who were not in the flashbacks, is like names or anything, because I was like, okay, what's going on here? And eventually I was like, I don't know how to think about this movie. And the thing that makes me feel so bad, especially after the production, which I do respect, makes me so bad. Even though I know it was like a present day flashback kind of movie. Other issues, I feel like the characters, I never knew what was driving them. Like even movies that I watched that may not be like anything exciting, I could still understand what was going on. While this, I did not. Yeah.
I feel you, man.
Because I felt that way when I first watched it, and I'm not expecting any of you to rewatch it, but I'm the same with a rewatch. It really helps to know everything that's going on, basically, and the pacing and scene construction and character arches. It really helps with a rewatch to really understand like what's going on, basically, because it is confusing to start. Definitely, especially the opening, it gets a little confusing. I mean, I have to say though, did you like the you at least like the one arc maybe with the female character? Because I thought that was like the most interesting part. Like him pressuring her to be like a famous singer, even though she's really not that good, just out of his own greed and the ego, just because he liked her and like listening to her sing, and then did all that stuff, and then finally she just couldn't take it and did that. So then he's like fine, but then out of punishment, basically just didn't care about her at all and just like kind of left her alone, just in like a mansion, just doing the same thing every day and driving her insane. And I think that's pretty like relatable to how a lot of shit works in real life, honestly, and with a lot of people with privilege and everything.
Yeah, I understand it's relatable, but I think it just made me not like Charlie King's character, because I feel like the one when
that was kind of the point. I don't think you were supposed to really like him too much.
Yeah, but I mean, there are some cases in other movies and shows where you may have a character who isn't necessarily the nicest guy, like he would beat up his wife. But I mean, I like some of those characters, especially if it's handled right.
Well, they did do a better job in Rocky 2, by the way, that character, and he got an Oscar nomination.
And I wasn't as critical as now, and I enjoyed it, so I don't mind covering that. And some of my backstory, like I did lots of post high school studies. I went to school for a long time. I don't have degrees, that's the thing, but I tried a lot of things after high school. And one of the things I tried was literature and letters. That's basically something one of the program I had, and one of the course in that program was cinema, and I've actually seen a few movies in that cinema course, and I liked it a lot. That course was probably one of my favorite course I took.
Yeah.
So that's in this course I've actually seen Psycho. And this is funny because I actually forgot the other movies I've seen that course.
I mean, one of them might be what was it? There's probably like some Kubrick films in there, which we'll definitely watch as well. Which being At like 2001: A Space Odyssey, The Shining, maybe Full Metal
Not The
Jacket.
Shining. I've heard about The Shining, but
I think it's two. I'm sure you watched 2001: A Space Odyssey though. That's also considered one of the most revolutionary ones for the sci-fi genre. So I'm pretty sure that was like one of them.
actually not. I thought that one was amazing. Um, Now, my only issue I got was pacing. I feel like this movie lasted 2 hours, but it could have been cut for roughly 20 to 30 minutes. And it's like scenes here and there, you can trim them down or just simply cut them. There's a lot of scenes where they really want you to care for the love relationship between Rocky and his girlfriend and future wife. And I'm fine with that, but I feel like they added so many scenes for you, the viewer, to get invested into them. I feel like some of these scenes could have been cut down and we still get the same kind of love story.
You know what? I kind of agree because in the first film it made sense with everything and also the introduction and such, but in the second film they did kind of overdo it. But I think the biggest reason why was because unlike the first film, they didn't have as much story stuff to go off of outside of just getting the rematch, so they had to add kind of a lot of filler to this leading up to it. It seems like all the live action remakes make it so it's like no actually her main goal wasn't to get like a prince or a boyfriend. No, it was actually to do this other thing. He was just just a side bonus. Because that isn't realistic, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's sexist, right?
Basically.
2023 Hollywood.
Well, anyway, so as you were saying with the music,
I like the music a lot. Rocky going at the hospital was interesting. The loser being a sore loser felt real. I mean, he was the world's champion, and him losing like that to some low-class fighter in his eyes felt real. We also had a funny scene with the guy that asked to Rocky to sign his head. That was funny. I was like, bruh. He wants to sign his head, bruh. That's like the best signature ever. Rocky asking his girlfriend to marry her. The romance feels real. I liked it, even if it's like some of the downside of it. Rocky not really knowing how to drive was hilarious in bumping into stuff. The loser hates Mel. I like it. The fact that they showcase that a lot of people hate the loser. That's how I call him because I can't remember his name.
Apollo Creed.
Yeah, Apollo Creed. Yeah. So
yeah, he's done other films such as The Karate Kid, the original, and also the second, which we'll eventually watch as well, and also has like similar elements, especially with the training montages or like how he trains, in the film. But yeah, he's done films like that, and also he did direct the fifth Rocky, I believe, but that was the only one, and also that was probably the worst Rocky. But yeah, the director thing for this changed though. The person who actually directed the second Rocky here was also actually Sylvester Stallone, so he starred, wrote, and acted in this basically, and he also did so with the fourth, the third, and the sixth, I believe. So yeah.
So the next stuff.
Just a fun fact there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, man. As I said earlier, these insight, these knowledge about the movie we cover are great. They're very appreciated because that brings our podcast somewhere else. That's what I like. The brother character is much better in this movie. It feels like an actual character, an actual human being that is portrayed on screen, and I liked it a lot.
Checkable. And then later he asked God that he can win the championship. The final battle between him and Apollo was phenomenal. I love that scene because it really gives you a lot of intense feeling. Because the more Apollo wins, you're like, is Rocky actually going to win? Because of the fact that he seems that he's losing the fight. Yeah. Adrian being at home, I think that was a great insight into Rocky's character and the way he won the championship. Yeah, there's so much I like about this movie. So much. I could go on and on.
Yeah. I think that sum up a lot of things. This is funny because I almost forgot to mark down the timestamp. Wow, I'm guilty. I guess it's been a good while. Are we ready to move to the grades, Cole and DC?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. What would be your grade out of 10? Cole? Cole? Cool. I guess you can repeat your grade as a reminder for anyone that's been watching. What would be your grade out of 10, DC?
10.
Okay, so I would give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. Among the 9.5, this is probably one of the highest I've graded. I enjoyed Rocky 2 a lot, and now I suspect Cole has crashed or something. So we will try to move on with Girl Gone. You have seen it, right? Girl. To the cops, the psychological abuse felt real considering how Amy was and how Nick was. So it's really grounded. This is how toxic relationships are, and sometimes you just cannot really get out of it. And some people are monsters like Amy. And because she is a girl, and because she is a woman, she's pretty and everything, and because Nick may look and sound sometimes like a hole, people are siding with Amy, and that's kind of the chain that imprison Nick in the end. And it's a very sad ending, but that's things that can happen when you're trapped. When the women are basically queens of the narrative, that's what we can get. Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed that movie a lot. And as I said earlier, if I didn't have closure with my own past and stuff, I I don't think I would have liked it as much. But I have closure, so I could enjoy the full extent that movie. So I guess now we can move to the grade. Except if you guys would like to share something. I guess not. Okay, so what would be your grade, DC, out of 10?
4.5 for me.
Okay, so you liked Citizen King more.
Yeah.
And you, Cole, what would be your grade out of 10?
I'd give it a 9.
For me, it's a 10 out of 10. The second movie that receives such a high score in the podcast since we started the podcast. And I remember the first one, and that's a movie I plan on rewatching eventually, Triangle of Sadness. Now, between both movies, I think I would give it to Gone Girl. I think I like Gone Girl more than Triangle of Sadness. I think I like Gone Girl, and it doesn't take away anything from Triangle of Sadness. I still think Triangle of Sadness is one of the best movies I've seen.
Yeah.
I just think Gone Girl.
Which one do you see yourself rewatching more?
Both. For different
Okay.
reasons. I think Gone Girl is more of a drama about people, and there's also a very interesting investigation, and it's a thriller. It's a good cop movie, and it's 2 hours and 45 minutes, but I didn't feel it at all. Like, yeah, and when I think about Triangle of Sadness, I remember how funny this movie was and how serious some of the deeper theme in it were. I I just don't know. I think I would rewatch both. These are really, really good movies I enjoyed a lot. But I think Gone Girl is just slightly above Triangle of Sadness. And I think the main reason is I prefer cop stuff than comedy stuff. And I feel like even if Triangle of Sadness had sad stuff in it, it's still a comedy at its core, you know? And I think Gone Girl is more of a drama, but a character study of toxic relationship itself. I think I just like more cop stuff with Flash. And I think Zoom is the only villain that's really better than Bloodwork. But outside of that, like Bloodwork is clearly a top tier for me. Um, Next up, finally Wally gets some great material. It's long overdue. I feel like he was underused, and that's probably how the actor felt, and that's one of the reasons why the actor left the show this early. So yeah, next up would be the exchange with Bloodwork was good. Barry breaking out of the dream world. Barry exchange with Wally. Spectre talking to Oliver. Well, actually, oh yeah, that's when Barry was basically killed, and he was brought in like purgatory or something, and he met Oliver there. I like that scene a lot. Wally and Bloodwork opening a breach to another Earth. Oliver talking about his crusade. Oliver versus the zombies was amazing. It felt like an Arrow sequence where he just punched the crap out of these zombies, and I liked it a lot. Fight choreography was on point. It really felt like Arrow, and I enjoyed that. Next up would be Wally versus Barry was cool. Another speedster fight, like the good old days of the show. Oliver knowing everything about Keanu made sense since he is Spectre. Oliver and Indigo, goodbye. I think that's something we should have gotten in Crisis on Infinite Earth. But I'm fine since I got it here. They have a proper goodbye, and I like that a lot. Barry, Oliver drinking and talking. Emotional departure of Oliver. I will say that I felt something, man. That bar scene and him leaving and having the opening speech of the show being told again. I feel like it wasn't made by Eric Wallace. This episode wasn't made by Eric Wallace.
Yeah, I can understand some of that.
What did you like? I know Cole has already mentioned many likes and dislikes. What did you like, DC? I'm sure you found stuff to enjoy.
Yeah, I enjoyed Bloodwork. I enjoyed I feel like his overall presence was not ruined, which was the main thing I was worried about this episode. I like they brought back Wally, which they should have used Wally more in the show because I feel like he was such a wasted character on the show, especially later seasons when they barely featured him. I like that party sequence was there. It kind of gives you an old season, mainly like season 1 or season 3, like kind of vibes. Then everything goes wrong. Then Bloodwork crashes the party, and I like that whole like mindset sequence where Bloodwork is just fooling with Barry and it's like making him say flashbacks. I enjoyed that sequence. It reminded me a lot of season 6 as to why I thought that season was great. I also enjoyed the fight scenes, like you said. They were very Arrow slash Mission Impossible like as well, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, I think those are it. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other time, this I might be super generous. Like again, I'm not the biggest fan of the Flash to begin with anyway. So unlike something like Stargirl that would get really high ratings for me, it would still get very positive ratings when it makes a good season or a good episode, but just not too high, just in the good range, like a 7 or a 6. But there are episodes that are definitely high, like a 9 or an 8 for me. They're rare, but it happens. But this episode,
This could have been one of them, but as DC said though, the same nitpick here and there issues that every episode in season 9 has drags it down for me to being around a 7.5 out of 10. So that's what I'll give it. Yeah, excellent episode though for Flash.
And yeah, considering your the way you score things, that's actually really great score because you're a bit more strict, if we can call it that way, than
yeah, like
the
again,
average viewer.
yeah, again, like a 7 out of 10 for me is in the great range, and an
Yeah.
8 out of 10 excellent. So if you make it in that range, then yeah, like even just
Did good
for,
job.
for me a 5, yeah, for me a 5 out of 10 is okay. So
So 7.5 for Cole. What about you, DC?
I was thinking either a 7.5 or an 8 or an 8. Again, I think this episode was good, but it definitely had a lot of flaws. So I'm kind of in the 7 or 8 range.
Okay, I gave this episode a 9.5 out of 10, and if I look at the tier list of all episodes, I think this episode comes in 4th place for me. Welcome to Earth 2 is better, but this episode was not that far behind, and it was better than a few episodes I really liked in season 2, which is like Flash of Two Worlds, Family of Rogues, and King Shark. I really like these episodes, but this one here was better than all of the one I just mentioned. Care about what she experienced and stuff. Like when they tried to work on her character, everyone around her got better material than herself. I just don't get it. That character is so terrible, and it's sad. It's just very sad. Why so much focus is placed into a character that I cannot even like describe? Like Chester, it's obvious what are his strengths. He's smart, and he is a good friend. He is someone we can rely on, and he is all about peace. He didn't want to do weapons in season 8 or 7, I can't remember. So he's that science guy. So I can tell much more about Chester than Allegra. Allegra, it's like, what does she likes to do? Like when she's on her own, why not Chester around, you know? Like, what's her character traits? She feels like a very bland character, and it's sad. It's just a wasted character, I think. And I don't know if it's the writing, the actress, or both. I think it's both. Maybe it's both. But I just don't care about Allegra. So I have some kind of apathy when she's on screen. I just don't care about what's going on. That's a
Yeah.
big rant. The other issue I had was pacing. I feel like some of the episodes could have been trimmed down, and it could have helped out a lot the episode. But despite these two issues, I do think this episode was still very good. It was one of my favorite episodes in the show. Actually, maybe I praised it too much because I'm thinking again about freaking Allegra. Truly hate that character. I will actually make that episode drop a bit just because of Allegra. Cannot stand that character. But yeah, I'm on board with you with that. So, anything else you liked in this episode?
I also enjoyed how it kind of goes full circle with the night, even if I feel like the time travel stuff with Barry's talk with Dawn both before and after the whole thing makes no sense. I still enjoyed it. Yeah. So overall, I can say it was a good episode. Definitely had a lot of flaws, so that's for sure.
Okay. So, I actually liked Eddie being back. I think that was Eddie, right?
That was Malcolm, a character named Malcolm. That was fortunately not Eddie.
Oh, okay, that's Malcolm. I guess that's Malcolm.
Yeah.
Barry talking to Joe about needing Tina help. Oh, that's when Barry just arrived. I enjoyed that scene a lot. Barry being stranded in time was fine. I feel like that's something Legends used to do a lot, but here I feel like they did it better. Barry meeting his parents at the hospital. Barry meeting Eobard. Eobard and Barry talking. Emotional talk between Barry and his parent after meeting Eobard. Barry meeting the kind of new villain, the new avatar, or I don't know. I really liked that fight scene at the hospital. That was well done. That was really good. It felt like something we would get in season 1, 2, and probably like season 6, like at the early stage of it. It was like very good. I enjoyed that fight. What did guys thought of the fight between Barry and the new villain that uses Joe Body? Starting with Cole. Did you enjoy the fight or not? Cole? I guess we will start with DC then. Did you enjoy the fight between Joe and well, fake Joe or whatever the villain is that took over Joe Buddy and Barry.
I thought the fight was decent. I enjoy how it kind of had like some Arrow vibes, but apart from that, I thought it was just an average fight scene. Yeah,
Okay.
not like basically. Yeah.
I'm wondering what's going on with Cole. Maybe his neighbor are doing something. I will get back to it once Cole shows some sign of life, proof of life.
His neighbors, man, his neighbors.
So we're about to finish this talk about episode 10. Um, which episode did you like the most, DC? Episode 9 or 10?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one because episode 9, because I think they're both good episodes, but man, they both have flaws and it's major flaws. I was at best. This isn't like an episode that it has some good moments and some meh moments. This is really tough. Hmm. I probably would say I probably say I enjoyed episode 9 more.
Because of Oliver?
I think it's probably because of blood work.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. I also liked more episode 9, but for me it's because of Oliver. Also like Bloodwork a lot. Um, yeah, I think episode 10 was really good. Cole, are you back with us, bro? Are you back with us? I can't even put question mark because my keyboard is messed up. At Cole.
Um,
So I guess while we wait for him to come back, um, what's your grade out of 10 with this episode?
Out of 10, probably an 8.
8. Very interesting.
Sorry, my mic was a bit messed up there. I'm sorry. Did you ask me anything again that I missed or no?
Yeah, not that long ago, I asked, what did you think of the fight scene between Barry and the being that took over Joe's body in the hospital?
Oh, that was one the better moments in the episode for me, in my opinion. But
Yeah, I'm not crazy. I'm glad to hear that someone else liked it.
yeah, it was actually well choreographed, which is a rarity for this shit show.
Yeah, exactly. You said it, man. You're damn right on that. Now, DC told us he rated this episode 8 out of 10. What about you, Cole?
Yeah, this is definitely a drop off, but it's still one of the better episodes in this weak ass season. So I'll give it a 5. I'll give it a around a 5.5 out of 10. So yeah, it was all right episode overall. Yeah, not too bad.
So for me, it's 9.5, just like episode 9. I think episode 9 had the edge because the Chigra crap wasn't getting in the way of the story, and I can't even remember them having like such a bad scene than what we got with episode 10. Yeah, now it's no more funny anymore. They really tried hard this season. Now, my issues overall in this season would be the tone. Sometimes it's off. Like, they try really hard to be funny, but it's just not. They don't know how to write humor anymore. Devil is interesting, but the body swapping, I'm not the biggest fan of it. The main issue with it is because the best Devil was the original one. I can't remember the name's actor, the actor's name, but I feel like every other buddy he had, they tried so hard to be like Devil, but you cannot make an actress act like him, you know? It's just not going to work. Like, they tried really hard with the writing to make it work and make it fit. It just didn't work for me. Like, I didn't bought that character to be Devoe when it was embodied by a woman, or even the guy that is the telepath. I was like, I think his name was Dominique or something. Even him, he wasn't Devil for me. The only Devil was the one in the wheelchair, and the one we get to see by the very end when he decides to just keep that face. Yeah, it bothers me so much. Now, I will say this, I actually liked overall that season more than season 3, because it didn't do much to arm Barry as a character at its core, and I think that's the only reason why it's slightly better. I feel like they really tried hard to make Iris relevant, outside of being that damsel in distress, but that leads to another issue I had with that season. She is team leader, apparently, and she is a terrible team leader. She made so many bad decisions, like, oh, let's split up because we cannot give up on anybody. I think that was like episode 6 or 7, I can't remember. And she almost revealed to the world Barry's identity during the trial. It's like, Barry saved the day by not telling everyone. It bothers me so much. Iris is not a good leader. It doesn't make sense that she's spending so much time in freaking Star Lab. Give her a journalist thing, please. Let's go back to season 1 and 2. She was a good character there. I feel like in this season, she just got screen time for the sake of it. She had no growth whatsoever. Okay, a few scenes at the therapist with Barry just to try really hard to be funny when it wasn't. It's like, bro, why? Do you torture me right now, show? Like,
Yes.
is it your intent for me to suffer when I watch
Yeah.
you do it? Um,
Mhm.
so Cole is
Yeah.
back. So Cole is back.
Yeah, no, I'm back the whole time. It's just my mic keeps fucking up. I don't get this, but I'm sorry. So sorry. Are you asking for my rating or something?
No, I was asking, what did you think of Aerie in season 4?
Oh, right, yeah, I heard you talk about Aerie. Yeah, I don't think they did him right.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
why didn't you enjoy him?
Oh, I just didn't like the performance. And I think, I don't know, it didn't feel impactful. I didn't like the performance, but yeah, I don't know, I like him more in other ones. I don't really like him much in season. It wasn't like one of the worst parts of the season 4 though. It was one of the better parts. I just still don't really like it. I don't like the season much at all. But I guess you could say he's sort of like a how do you say, like a Constantine in Legends of Tomorrow if you think that way. But I don't really. I'm not a huge fan of him in this.
Okay. Um, I think I mentioned a lot of issues I had with that season. Another big one. That's a big one for me. Ralph Dimney was freaking right. They needed to kill Devil when they could, and he was right. And the team was against him, and it was weird. Like, there are heroes. They need to think better than this. But didn't like Iris shot Savitar in season 3? Didn't she killed someone in season 3? Yeah. So when she was willing to kill Savitar, why aren't they willing to kill freaking Devo? You know how strong that piece of crap that piece of crap is. You know, you have seen him in action. Like, you cannot stop him. If you got a shot at killing him, just kill him, man. But no, it's the Flash. They need to be perfect. They need to be icons. They need to be emblem. And this is why I think Black Lightning as a show depicted the hero and the duty of the hero better than the Flash. And I won't spoil anything because I know both of you haven't seen it, but once we cover Black Lightning on the podcast, you will start understanding what I'm talking about. So now we can move on to the grades, starting with DC. What would be your grade out of 10?
10.
Okay, that's a 10 here. What about you, Cole? What's your grade out of 10 for season 4 of The Flash?
Uh, let's give it a 3.
Okay, and I'm somewhere in between. I gave this season a 7. I think I was entertained for the most of it, and I thought that was slightly better than season 3. And my most recent watch back in, I believe, was December or January, I can't remember. That was my most enjoyable watch. I actually found more stuff I liked about it. Like, Ralph Dimney as a character, his growth into a better character. Like, he started off being a jerk, and in the end, he was very relatable and likable character, and you cannot understand, like, his journey to become the hero. I like that. Being able to freaking aim is cancer. Please don't give them gun if they cannot aim. Uh, Dialogue is literally, what's that? He's speechless, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, people not being able to aim is terrible. Dialogue is awful as usual. Every time they complain about rich people, it feels like a damn answer of the writer. Look, I hate the rich as well. Okay, my previous job in security was in a building full of condos, full of rich breaks. I hate rich people as well. But there's the thing: I don't write a show to complain about rich people. I I don't hate all of them. I hate the one I've worked with before, but I don't think every single rich on earth is like that. I know there are some rich people that are actually good people. All depends on the way you raise people, the way you interact with others, you know. And I feel like these writers, they hate every single rich, and they think every single rich is the same stereotype. Even if I don't carry rich people in my art, I will never think they are all the same, and I will never think of them as a stereotype. Okay. Anything else you'd like to share?
Not for me.
Okay, so I will say that I will admit I was entertained when there was action. It's not in my likes because I don't think the fight choreography is that great in the show. There are some instances earlier in earlier episode where the action and fight choreography was decent for me, but most of the time I'd say it's a miss or it's something I don't care about because I'm so tapped out of the episode. Like, okay, he threw that painting at the guards and he was able to take down guards, but man, these guards cannot freaking aim. That's like the biggest sin. Like, yeah. Um, I will say that I will admit I had a laugh with the scene between Robin and the Joker daughter. Um, they had great scenes together this week. Crazy old lady trying to kill Joker daughter and her being saved by Robin was fine. Throwing something as distraction to escape was fine. That was when they were trying to steal the painting or something by the end of the episode, I believe. But these are the only things I actually liked. Most of the things that happened, I really didn't care. Even RV usually is something I like, but here I had apathy. I just didn't care. um, so yeah, it makes me sad, because I don't want to sound like someone that just trash on something because I like to trash some things. No, I am honest when I watch stuff and when I review stuff. If I think it's bad, I will say it. I want to watch and enjoy my time. I want to defend the best I can stuff I watch, but sometimes I just can't. That's all I feel with this episode. Um, Cole, are you back? Let us know when you're back. Because here's the thing, I don't have much more to say. I think every week I repeat myself a lot. Sometimes I go more in detail, but most of the time it's the same issue that keeps coming back because nothing really changes. The plot feels stale, it doesn't really move further enough for me. Half of the season is there, and we still don't really know what the Court of All wants. But we know that Hope Harper really ate the rich people. um, yeah, that's not a night in a nutshell. What would be your grade out of 10, DC?
10.
Another 10! Wow, you're having a blast, that's good.
Yeah.
So, following my grading score, at first it was a 5.5 out of 10, but, it loses a full point, since outside of the cliffhanger, when they realize the court is up to something, everything was filler. So the final score for me is a 4.5 out of 10. That's like the average score I usually give to Gotham Knights, because I just don't think it flies any higher than this. And it's sad. It's really sad. Like, I wish I had other stuff. Now, I will admit here, it's better than She-Hulk. It's better than She-Hulk.
Definitely far better than She-Hulk.
Have you
Whatever
seen
that.
She-Hulk?
No, but I've seen clips of it. It was so bad. The scenes I watched, the clips I've seen, and I don't want to watch that. Whatever that is.
But She-Hulk, like, the average grade I was giving to the weekly stuff was 1 and 2s.
Pretty sure if I watched She-Hulk, I would have just given every episode 0 because of how bad it looks.
Like, even Chillmonger, someone you will meet eventually on stream, he likes DC and Marvel stuff a lot, and he likes, I think, well, I won't speak for himself, but based on our several discussions we had, I suspect and I think he enjoys Phase 4 a lot and Phase 5 and stuff, and even after Endgame, he still thought it was relevant, and he enjoyed a lot what Marvel was doing, and even him, that will defend to the teeth Marvel stuff because he enjoys it. He came in on our discussion about She-Hulk the entire season, and he was like, "Guys were right. This show is terrible." And it's funny because at first he was defending the show. Like, when the show first started, we had a discussion, Showmonger and I, because I wanted him because he had a different take on it. Like, he enjoyed the first episode much more than me. He actually liked the first episode. Oh, hi, Cole.
All right, my bad. Again, so I tried doing something to see if it fixes the issue I'm having with my mic. I was not unmuting at times, so hopefully it's worked. And I decided to do so then because I pretty much said everything I had to say about Gotham Knights this episode anyway.
So yeah, we were speaking about Killmonger and how throughout She-Hulk he kind of changed because at first he liked it, but at the end he was kind of on board with what we were saying, and that's basically what we were saying. And the reason why I brought She-Hulk here is because I'm like, Gotham Knight is better than She-Hulk. Would you say the same, Cole?
Gotham Knights actually has some redeeming qualities. Yes, they're very small redeeming qualities, but there are more redeeming qualities in it. And it's, with what it's She-Hulk tries to do something and it completely fails at it. Gotham Knights, at least with the genre it's going for, it's not completely failing at everything. Like, there's at least some things I can give it credit for. She-Hulk did not even know what it wanted to be at all. It was just, from start to finish, it was literally like watching a stand-up comedian, but a bad one that is trying to like come up with something live without any material written or any jokes stolen. That's what She-Hulk did. So yeah, it's definitely better, but they're both kind of terrible. But they're both terrible though. But yeah.
So we were giving our grades out of 10. I gave a 4.5 out of 10, which is the average we got so far with Gotham Knight for me. And DC has given a 10 out of 10. He really enjoys it.
For me, it's a 2.
2. Okay, that's average for you as well.
Yeah, it's not a 1 like She-Hulk. So yeah.
It maintains itself. It's not. That showcased huge difference between people making Superman and Lois and the people making the Flash. And you know what's ironic? the showrunner for Superman and Lois, I think has remained the same for the 3 seasons we got, and it's Todd Elbing, the guy that made season 5 of The Flash, which is your favorite season of The Flash. And this is funny, DC, because you're not that into Superman and Lois, but you liked past project you worked on. I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of irony there.
yeah. It's like for me, I personally think Superman and Lois is kind of written by a different showrunner because for me, I just find it Again, I don't hate Superman and Lois. I just think it's an okay show. I think the problem for me, it's not that it's realistic. It's hard for me to get onto the characters. Like I like the idea that the show is realistic or more realistic than some shows, because that's kind of what Superman's character is in some comics. Because there were comics where it does cover some pretty dark issues, and even then some of his villains have some dark origins. You know, like Lex Luthor. So there's that as well. But me personally, I always thought Superman and Lois was just meh, not like the kind of show I would watch or have in the background. Just a show I'd rather I mean, if I was forced to watch Superman and Lois or say my least favorite show, I'd pick Superman and Lois because even then, I don't think it's a bad show. I just think it's boring, uninteresting. Don't want to say forgettable, but just doesn't really hook you up. I guess that's kind of how I feel about it.
I mean, that's kind of to an extent how I feel to a point with this show, and this is why. Again, I think I've repeated this three times, so I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record. But again, it kind of follows a similar format that a lot of bad CW shows do, with just the lack of just repetitive same stuff in this exact same style, Superman and Lois. But the reason why, again, it's a bit more interesting and a solid show overall, in my opinion, and better than those other ones, and worth watching still, and does some interesting things here and there, is because this whole style just happens to be what works for Superman. And I know some like the comics or like the animated TV show, like him just trying to learn to live like this, which they do in other shows and with other IPs, but it just happens to work most here since it's already kind of like this. So because of that, I think they just got lucky with this. I don't think it's the best like well written show or anything. I genuinely just think they got kind of lucky with this one out of all the ones. But yeah, that's just my opinion though.
So I guess we can dive deep into what we liked. Actually, no, I forgot to mention my issue. I only had one issue with this episode. Uh, there was a huge plot convenience of John Henry Arian meeting Lana at the grocery store to talk about, having a daughter is art. And it's just very convenient they go at the grocery store at the same time. I mean, it's just very convenient. Um, so yeah, that was my only issue this week, plot convenience, because that discussion that came up did matter a lot for John Henry Aaron growth in this episode, him trying to let Natalie have her normal life he always wanted her to get. So yeah, what would be your issues you didn't mention if you have any?
Friends or allies meet childhood friends, but it turns out they were married, and I enjoyed that twist. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you enjoyed?
No, I think that's about it.
And you, Cole. Is there anything you enjoyed that you didn't mention yet?
Uh, let's see. I like the. Honestly, I don't really. Here's it. I've been trying hard to like remember and think of things to highlight, because I mean, there's a lot of things that I thought were competently made, but things that I mean I like considered to be very good outside of what I already mentioned, and that just wasn't competent. And that's it. I don't know. There wasn't really much anything else I've been trying to think, but if I had to say one thing, then just like the one Flash episode or season we went through, I guess the cinematography was better in this episode than it was in other episodes. And even though I complained about the Lois scenes a bit and her in this episode, I did think it was well shot in those scenes. So I think that they did a good job there. I guess there wasn't really much anything else I had to say as I was trying to think of, because I mean this was pretty standard basic episode, so mainly just those things. I guess not really much else to highlight. Like there's not like any action scenes with either good or bad CGI or anything that I can poke fun of. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay, so me, I enjoyed a lot this episode. It's like, for me, it's the average episode, but for me, average is amazing when it comes to Superman and Lois, because so far this season has been a blast for me. So opening scene, I liked it. John Henry, Aaron, and Natalie getting ready to meet Matteo. That whole subplot that DC didn't like, I actually liked it a lot because it's John Henry Aaron. I would watch an entire spin-off about John Henry Aaron and Natalie. That's how much I care about John Henry Aaron. I think any scene he is in is much better than scenes he's not in. And even if his storyline wasn't groundbreaking, I liked it. He felt missing last week, but now he's back on steroids. um,
Yeah.
So Bruno Mannheim, as usual, man, he has that villainous and control of everything that I like it. He really feels like Prometheus. Prometheus was always in control of everything. Bruno Mannheim really feels like that. Like, there's nothing that slips because he's smart, because he knows what he's doing. He has a plan, and he will execute best to find technologies and ways to save her. Lois doing her investigation, even if people are like, yeah, she was annoying when she did that. I'm like, that's Lois. Like, she will do whatever it takes to solve things. And that goes back to her father being a military guy, and to her being stubborn, to her being like willing to do what it takes to get her things done. You know, that's very Lois-like. This is a strong character that happens to be female. She has resolve, she has goals, she's willing to do what must be done to achieve her goal. And this is what is good about Lois for me. Um, Bruno Mannheim flashbacks, I like them a lot. Jonathan and Jordan, finding out that their mother is like, yeah, I made a last will and stuff. Chrissy and Sarah chat was very relatable for me since I experienced similar stuff with my parents being separated since. But here Rocky takes several hits and some looks like hard punches, yet Rocky doesn't drop. The rival is one-dimensional, that's another issue, but to go back at that whole thing, maybe there's an argument there where the Russian had hatred for Apollo because Apollo was laughing at him and was teasing him and it was making him look bad, and he had that kind of anger built up, and that's why he killed Apollo, and that's why he didn't kill Rocky because Rocky didn't go that way, you know. But even there, I feel like when they tell Drakov to kill him, he doesn't do that. I'm like, there's something. Either they don't know how to freaking balance out the punches, or the characters and the strength is not consistent. There's inconsistency there. This is just how I feel about that whole very long fight where they took so many hits, they were all messed up, and Rocky didn't die. That's also why I feel like Rocky should have lost. Like, it felt, I was glad he won, but it didn't feel as earned as past movie, even if they wanted you to feel like it was earned, because that's to avenge Apollo Creed. In fact, it's not for fame, it's not for money, it's to avenge a lost brother, you know. But even if the idea is interesting, man, it doesn't feel earned. It just doesn't. But that's just my take on it.
That's my biggest thing with this film. They didn't do a good job at making it feel like an earned win. That's the biggest issue with this film.
It's not because you do like 13 rounds where you can stand still and survive hits that it's earned. Yes, Rocky trained, but like, did he really surpass Apollo? Did he really like did he really surpass himself enough to beat down someone that killed Apollo like round 2? Like, something doesn't add up somewhere. Like, either the Russian villain is not consistent, or the punching strength is not consistent, and that's really makes it like so weird that Rocky comes up on top. Yeah. Do you want to say something, DC? I've seen your icon flashing.
I was gonna say, in my defense of the revenge plot, because I've been through basically what I can kind of say is Rocky and Rocky 4 is basically how I've actually been feeling for a while. And so I actually understand what Rocky wants, and he wants to avenge his fallen friend. And because I'm in that position right now, I can just feel the anger and pain that he's suffering. And for me, I think it's a great way to show that the plot for the movie. As for Rocky, like the punches throw from Drago, I actually don't think it's inconsistent, because I feel like sometimes I think Drago was being probably very cocky and arrogant because, well, he was like, well, I defeat Apollo Creed and I can probably take on Rocky pretty quickly. But he didn't know that Rocky was probably going out for revenge.
Seriously, and he will pay the cost, man. Apollo realizing his opponent looks so strong, and he's like, on the ring, he's like, oh crap, I really did that. Rocky wanting the fight to end. This showcased that Rocky cares a lot about Apollo, and he fears for Apollo life, and it also shows that Rocky has grown as an individual since the first movie. In the first movie, it would be like, go for it, even if he didn't believe it. But now, with experience, he got older, and I feel like it's in character because he changed over the years. And that was one of the topics in the third movie, where he is no more the guy he used to be. He changed. And this is the perfect example of how he changed. He cares a lot about Apollo. Apollo falling after getting struck really hard. Apollo death was emotional. The Russian wanting Rocky to come on their soil, it felt believable. Even when his wife says...
Yeah, also, this film was made like when the Soviet Union was fallen, by the way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. 1985, so yeah, it was during the time where near the end of the Cold War. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and this was also the time where like a lot of like Russian athletes, like hockey players and stuff, were like illegally deported to the U.S. Like they were just like hiding in cars and shit to get away and like come to America. And if they got caught, they would have been sentenced to 7 years hard labor, which is a death penalty.
Wow.
Yeah. The Cold War. It's definitely one of the darker moments in history. because
it could be
yeah,
happening again.
yeah, especially with what's going on with the United States and China, and I guess now United States and Russia again. But that's politics. Yeah,
Just want peace.
yeah. Unfortunately, it's probably never gonna happen.
As long as the American are there, it won't happen. I feel like they trigger every war they can.
Yeah, like it's like you know what? And for me, I think the scariest part is how that what goes on in wars. As scary as it is, I think the things that happen outside of a war, like for instances, like domestic abuse or drugs, bullying, alcohol, that stuff. I think that stuff when it goes out, that happens while war is also going on, like in a different country. Like I think it makes it worse actually.
Better than any other movie, even if I said it didn't feel earned, it felt amazing because he was able to avenge his friend. Maybe I sound like I contradict myself, but the feel is there, man.
Yeah,
The ending speech on all people can change if he could change. I like that a lot. So even if it wasn't really necessarily earned, it still felt amazing because man, he avenged Apollo Creed. So
yeah.
what are your likes, DC? If you didn't mention all of them.
I think I've mentioned all of them.
Okay. So what would be your grade out of 10, DC?
10.
What would be your grade out of 10, Cole?
I would say around a 6.5 to 7, just like the third. And on a later date, I might raise. I'm still deciding which one I like more, and on a later date, when I decide that, I'll probably raise either the third or the fourth to a 7.5.
Okay, for me it's the 8 out of 10. As a recap, I gave the first movie a 7, the second movie 9.5 I believe, the third one 9, and this one 8 out of 10. So this one is enjoyable. It's not the worst one for me, but it's not the best one either. So, is there any...
Just I don't want this character on screen, please. Oh, oh my god! Like every time Keon appears, you know it gets annoyingly stupid for me. It gets stupid and annoying. It's like I don't want her on screen. I'd rather want to learn more about what's going on with the main villain, not Keon.
Anything else?
I think that's about it.
I think that's a lot, and that's good. I like it. People having other opinion is always entertaining to hear about. What about you, Cole? What would be your issues?
Yeah, I didn't like the pacing at all, or the scene construction. I thought it was really off. Again, I liked things happening in this episode for once. I actually thought it was somewhat interesting, and I would say the performances again were good, but and some intriguing characters and such. But yeah, I did not like that part of it or how the episode was really made. It was better than other episodes. I just I don't know. I thought it was not good, not terrible, not good either. I'd say the editing was shit. Direction was really weird in this episode. I didn't really understand what they were kind of going for, if anything at all. And there were just so many loopholes and things that made little sense in this. And yeah, writing didn't really like either. And I think this was just like this is like the third last episode of The Flash, isn't it?
Yeah, there are 2 other episodes, and the show is over.
This episode literally just feels like them. And like, how do I say it? It's like they had plans to do stuff and do it properly, but then yeah, they realized they only had like 13 episodes left. so they just made these like last couple episodes. Well, maybe not the last one, but yeah, this episode and probably the next 2 episodes, just a cough out on so many things just to speed up the process. That's what it feels like.
Very, very good, and it feels like season 2 quality again. So yeah, I'm pleased. I really enjoyed that episode. So here is my side note. This is how we make a Flash episode without the Flash in it. I say that because Eric Wallace did so many attempts, and I feel like every single time he freaking failed. Like, all of the episodes without the Flash in it are among the worst in the show. Let's be honest, they're poorly received most of the time. Except when some people have a different take or different taste, but most of the time when the Flash is not around, the episodes suffer from it. And I didn't thought it suffered that much for not having Barry around this time around. But that's interesting because DC, you mentioned how they could have placed both last episode and this episode together, and I actually agree at some extent. I'm saying like I'm on board with it having 2 different episodes, but I feel like the editing may be the issue there because the content itself, I'm fine with it being spread out on 2 episodes, but I feel like some of the scenes this week should have happened last week instead of the Allegra and Shegra scene. I feel like if you have a better editing, it would have flown better. I think it's really the editing, and actually, that's an issue for me. Editing. I didn't thought about it before you brought this up, DC, but that's actually an issue for me. So just because of that, I will actually change my result for that episode. I still enjoyed it a lot, but I realized I have a second issue editing. I didn't thought of it before, but now that you brought that one up, now editing. Edit what I refer to. Um, Chester and Chillblain talk. Here again, more moment where I'm like, it's not my usual Mark. That one, there's something off with him. I kind of knew there was something off with Mark. Chillblain acting weird. The Speed Force saving Iris. This made sense because it was explained that she's connected to Iris and Barry because of the Speed Force and the whole crap we got with Season 7. At least that sci-fi aspect was well explained in the past. How she can sense Iris and Barry. Malcolm in Iris' office was interesting. I liked the music. The Speed Force talking to Nora. I can't remember that. I thought there were a few funny things here and there. Barry and Iris in the hospital. Malcolm trying to find Eddie Buddy. Malcolm learning the truth. Eddie being reborn. Because I believe this is what happens. Like Malcolm and Eddie probably merge or something. I suspect this is what's going on, but they don't bother explaining much, so maybe that will end up being an issue next week. So I guess we can move on to the grade, except if guys would like to share something else.
Not for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at first, I gave this episode a 9.7 out of 10. But here's the thing. After our talk and me realizing the editing was kind of bad and some of the moment we had this week should have been in last week instead of some of the things we had last week, I actually lowered the score for only this week. I won't lower it last week because I feel like last week was still a really strong episode, and the fact that some of the things we got this week didn't happen last week won't really damage last week. It's really like this week it damages because I feel like they kind of missed the timing, you know? So yeah, now it's a 9.5 out of 10 because editing is the second issue, and not explaining Kion power is my first issue. So for me, it's a 9.5 out of 10. What about you, DC?
A 4 out of 10.
Okay. And what about you, Cole?
4.
Okay. So, I guess now we can move on to the Flash 5th season. I will mark down the timestamp in the chat. So, who wants to start on the Flash 5th season?
Okay. Yeah, you said you really hated this season, right?
That's the worst season of the show for me. Even worse than well,
Yeah.
9 depends. Well, we still have 2 episodes for season 9, but yeah, the Flash season 5 is really really bad for me.
Okay, well here.
Horrendous parts in episode 5 where it was like watching a fucking, it is like a parody of something. It was still had some better moments, I thought. Like, I don't know why it's considered not worse than that, but yeah. So anyway, there were my 3 to 4. Oh, and episode 19 also had some really cheesy bad moments, but and honestly that would definitely be close because definitely when it comes to the villain in that was horrendous, but still misses the cut for me though, compared to the other 3 to 4.
You know what? Usually I say worst top 3, but this time around I will share more than my worst top 3 because I just realized season 5 is 1/3 of my failure tier, which is like what I consider all the worst episode of the entire show. And this is hilarious. Actually, I have 15 episodes in that tier, and
Jesus Christ.
among these 15, 5 are from season 5.
No,
I need to mention all of them.
Go ahead. I named like fucking 5 or 6 of them, so go ahead. It's tough because a lot of them are sort of just like tied with each other. Besides maybe like episode, like I would say episode 20 and the car one are probably like unanimously in the bottom 2. But after that, it's kind of a competition for the 3rd spot.
Wait, I will surprise you. So that's one of the top ones. It's borderline E tier. It's like place 14 in my 15. No, actually, it's place number 2 in my 15. Next up is Goldface, bruh. That Flashless episode, man, it got on my nerve. Goldface is one of the worst shit ever made. I don't know what they were thinking when they made that character. He is such a terrible character, and he's a focus. The idea of a mission to investigate that's kind of good, but it's poorly executed in a filler, empty episode. That was shit. I don't want to ever see it again. And I will let you guess what's the worst for me, Cole. Now we are in the 5th one and last one, the worst episode of season 5, and it's right above Girls' Nights Out, but not by that much. I will let you guess it, Cole, or DC.
Oh, well, hold on. Is Girls' Nights Out your worst of all time?
No, it's actually episode 8. Remember the season 9, episode 8?
Season 9, episode 8 is your worst of all time.
Yeah. You cannot go any lower.
Oh yeah, Partners in Time. Okay, yeah, that was definitely Yeah, that was. Let's just.
Ignore that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so it was second or something. Okay. Anyway, okay, I'll guess. Did you already say episode? What was it again? Episode 20 as one of yours? Did you
I
say that?
didn't mention 20 yet.
Okay, well, I mean, I would be surprised if that wasn't. Like, I don't know. Like, I figured the ones that you mentioned, I kind of figured would get a shout out.
Season 6, episode 11, which is the episode you really like a lot, DC. Followed by Run, Iris Run. Followed by Girls Nights Out and Gone Rogue. So Gone Rogue is like in the middle of the worst of the worst. It's a failure. I don't want to ever see that shit again. So yeah. So I asked DC already what did he thought of Cicada. What about you, Cole? What did you thought of Cicada as a villain?
I hated every minute.
Did you like it every time he could have killed everyone in Team Flash, but instead he decided to run away? Or
Yeah,
fly
well,
away?
I mean, to be fair, that's a lot of villains in the Flash. I mean, they just are they stand in there saying stolen movie quotes for the whole runtime, and then they just get they let them buy time to finally find a way to beat them, and then they're like, oh shit, and then they fight and then they lose. Isn't that like every Flash villain almost, besides the odd ones that are really good?
Zoom, he didn't really had reasons to kill Team Flash. He really wanted to be the fastest one, and he killed whoever he wanted to kill, but he had no desire to kill everyone. That's the thing. Like, Cicada had clearly hatred for Meta-Human, and he could have freaking murdered Cisco on the spot. He could have murdered, like, Caitlyn, I don't know how many times, but plot armor happens, and he just runs away instead. and then Cicada comes in. Even if I like the motive and why she is a villain, she's just following the uncle footstep, I still think she is kind of shit because she's even more overpowered than her father. She even has even more hatred for Meta-Human, and she just doesn't kill anybody in Team Flash, which is shocking. Savitar, it's the same thing in season 3. Savitar only wanted to hurt Barry. He didn't really care about the others. Pacing of that season is bad. It's filled with filler. Some of the jokes are not really funny anymore. The sole fact that Barry let Nora do her own Flashpoint and erase herself in the end is ridiculous. All these time, Iris is just mad at Barry. Iris doesn't have any storyline that season. Iris is... she's just someone to argue with Barry. That's what she is in season 5. Or someone to argue with Nora. That's all she is. Where's the reporter work? Tell me. I really don't like that. That season is the worst season of the show, and it's among the worst season in the entire Arrowverse. It's clearly a low point. So is there anything else you'd like to share, DC?
Not for me.
What about you, Cole? Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Not for me. Let's just get this over with. Let's get this entire show. I cannot wait to stop watching The Flash. I cannot wait.
Well,
Because-
be ready for season 7. Season 7 is for me the second worst, but it's clearly much better than 5. So you have seen the worst season in my books.
For me, season 8 is also in the running there.
Yeah, season 8, it's not that amazing, but it's not as low. So we are in season 9 right now.
There's many in the running for me, so I don't know.
So,
I heard that season 6 isn't too bad though.
I liked a lot the first half. Before Crisis, that was amazing. After Crisis, we have a few decent episodes I enjoyed, but the quality dipped. That's like one of the worst characters in the show. Like, yeah, I'm glad I killed her off. Anyway, Turner wanting to save the traitor. Oh, I was rolling my eyes. I was like, sister, did you lost your brain somewhere? Why? 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 I was rolling my eyes. At that point, I was wishing that was the final episode and the freaking court would murder them. That was my wish. But I was like, we still have like 5 episodes to go, so there's no way they will kill them off. But I was rolling my eyes. Oh, Joker daughter is right. Freaking leave. You cannot save her. But of course, they really needed to make the Joker daughter flip someone twice her weight during the escape scene. You know how I feel when it's woman against men. It needs to be well choreographed. It needs to be well done for me to enjoy my time. This wasn't. This was shit. It's not believable that she can just flip people around. The Joker daughter, based on what they showed us and told us, is a normal woman. She doesn't have superpowers. And she's not even muscular. She's not like UFC fighter, boxing, or whatever. She is a mannequin. I forgot. She's a model, you know? She is slim, she is fit. Okay. But she doesn't have the muscle to freaking flip people around. This insult the viewer for me. So...
But in defense of that, they could have also had done the characters training like off screen, like how like an era where they had like those sequences where Oliver with a crew. I think that's what they're going with Gotham Knights. So even then, like I think that's what they're doing with Duella and the group as a whole. I think they're just having them train like that's not on the screen.
Look, Arrow, outside of season 3 and 4, had amazing fight choreography, and most of the time, there's no time where I really remember in the good episode. I mean, maybe in episode 3 and 4 that could have happened because I like to forget what happened in these 2 seasons. But most of the time, the fight man on woman was believable in Arrow because they had good people making the fight choreography, and I don't recall in the good season Sarah flipping around people twice her size. In fact, the fight that stick the most in my mind with Sarah involved in was the fight between Oliver, Sarah, and the lead guy in season 2. This I remember well, and she wasn't really flipping the guy around. The League of Assassin guy basically beat down Sarah and Oliver in that episode. But yeah, like I remember in season 3 when it had weaker fight choreography and a weaker storyline for fact. I remember seeing Laurel flipping people around, but I was criticizing it as well. It's not because it was Arrow that I thought it was immune to it. No. um, Here again, I don't care about Blondie's subplots. I repeat myself because I guess we got another scene of her. The reveal of who's under the mask didn't surprise me since we could see his hair through the entire episode. I was like, oh, okay, whatever, I don't care. Bruh.
In my defense, I thought, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I always felt, that guy looks like Lincoln March. And I was like, but I mean, it could be him. And then when it turns out it was him, I was like, wow, I'm actually a little shocked. Even if the hair, I was at least.
It's the same haircut, bro.
I was
How
just
did
like,
you haven't seen it coming?
I mean, I don't really see a lot of like the things that are like right in front of me, and then later for foreshadows. I know, I don't know. It's probably because I have some of the worst eyesight in the whole world, but yeah, it's probably because of that. Okay.
Bruh. Like roasting this show is more fun than watching it. We did pretty much every single issue I had, but that's funny because this episode wasn't the worst. But all of my issues take so much space that it's almost confusing. So yeah, let's go over the likes. I will start with the likes, and then we will move on to DC.
Issue part of the court, and what will the court do to a Turner later on because he tried to save Cressida and he fails. Yeah.
So I guess except if you have closing thoughts, we can move to the grade out of 10 now. I guess you don't have closing thoughts.
Yeah, I've
so
said everything.
No, I was gonna give my grade. Again, I don't really think that there's any issue for me. I'll just give it a 10.
a 10. Okay,
Yeah.
a 10 for DC. What about you, Cole?
Let's see. Do I want to give it like a 1.5 just because of searching?
1.5.
No, I'll give it a 1.
Okay.
No, I'll give it a 1.
So I give a 4 out of 10 to this episode.
I think it's a 4 out of 10. We're improving.
Well, not exactly. That's average for me. Last week was a 4.5. Previous week was actually a 5. So episode 6 so far I think was the best one, but it doesn't fly high.
Honestly, this show's giving me dementia, so I forgot.
Episode 4 was a all-point low, and just by looking at the issues I had, yeah, I fully understand. I don't even read in depth, and I remember why that one was bad. The first episode was actually terrible as well. It's not the worst, but it's still not good for me. So I guess we can move to Superman and Lois, and I marked down the timestamp here. Gotham Knights. So Superman and Lois. I will let whoever wants to go first, because I need to find my notes. Hey, and this just ended the episode on a very high note, I believe. So I think that season is a blast. It's a masterpiece for me so far. No episode is perfect. I think I only gave a 10 out of 10 so far. But outside of that, man, that episode was great. Except if you guys would like to add more to this, I think we can move to the grades out of 10.
Yeah, not for me.
Okay. What about you, Cole? Do you want to add something else before we move on to the grade out of 10?
Just a question. Just a question. Who do you think is most likely to die by the end of the season?
I don't want that, but I think John Henry Aaron. Because he took so many risks.
Same.
And that would make the most impact on everyone. Because that's like Natalie, last relative, the last person from Natalie Earth. And it would be freaking sad, because I said it many times over. John Henry Aaron is my favorite supporting character is equal to
Yeah,
Sam
you're
Lane.
my favorite character in the show, but yeah. What would you say would be would you say would be more break-in than the I forgot their names, but you've seen Stargirl. When both her parents died near the end of the show.
Oh, Natalie will lose his shit or shit. Natalie will be broken if she loses John Henry Aaron, and
Yeah, so would you say would be more so than in Stargirl?
I think it's very different because in Stargirl, um, she had already like very aggressive nature and impulsive nature, and that was mainly because that's the way she was raised. And Natalie, she wasn't raised like that. I think when it comes to me as a viewer, I will be more sad about John Henry Aaron than the parents, even if they did amazing job with the parents by the end of Stargirl, even if they did an amazing job there and I cared and I cried. I think John Henry Aaron was just a regular for 3 seasons and he pulled his own weight. So me as a viewer, maybe John Henry Aaron death would impact me more. But when it comes to kids, I think Artemis was the one that went the most crazy because of the way she was raised. But they can still play it off well with Natalie, and I'm sure they will honor well John Henry Aaron if they kill him off. I'm sure it will be a respectful way to kill him off, and it will really like leave an impact, and if they really do that, I'm kind of excited by it. But I'm also sad because I really like John Henry Aaron. He's just so great, man. He is
that, and also still the TV watch numbers are getting no matter how hated it is, they're still gonna for those reasons push through and do it over Superman and Lois because of that, and at least get it to 2 or 3 seasons at least, and because Superman and Lois are really on a lot with, I guess you could say, but also because there'll be now competition in 2025 with the main universe Superman, so they don't really want that, and they already have enough of it with the Batman and then the main universe Batman, I guess. So they probably wouldn't want that. So that's probably why they'll choose Gotham Knights over it, if I have to guess. I don't see CW ever canceling the show after 1 season, no matter how horribly it's getting.
They already did, bro. Naomi was the worst superhero TV show I've ever seen. That was
okay.
Yeah,
and
there's a thing. Okay. That's the exception, but that's because that was not even a character literally anybody has ever heard of. I'm talking about actual names that people know, like Gotham Knights, Black Lightning, Titans, Superman and Lois, the Flash, I'm talking about names like that. I'm sure, stuff like Naomi. It's you would think it was an original creation.
No, they were comics.
Yeah, I know, but you would think it or just floating away. That's supposed to be made to look as laughable as possible, and it looked better than that end scene in Naomi. So that's hilarious. But this is what they're gonna do with the character, all right? Okay, so she flies away, all right, and then but then they're gonna have the Suicide Squad 2, all right? She's gonna show up, right? That's where she'll land in during the Suicide Squad 2. Be like, yeah, I just learned my powers and everything. Yeah, hey, I'm going in the and then she gets shot in 5 seconds. Done. There's her character. That's how they'll complete her character, right?
So I also heard something else. So if CW cancels Superman and Lois, there are a possibility that HBO Max pick the show back up because season 1 was partly made by HBO Max and CW. They had some kind of deal. So there are rumors that if Superman and Lois doesn't get picked up by CW, HBO Max may pick it up for a 4th season. And there are also rumors that if it's indeed canceled, they will actually give a 4th season, but a limited run instead of 15 episodes. That would be 10 episodes or less. So I've heard a lot of different things from a lot of different sources, and I'm worried. I'm a huge fan of the show. Even if season 2 was a step down from season 1, it was still very strong, and I enjoyed it a lot. Season 3 is amazing. It's among the 3rd season in many superhero TV shows. This is one of the best 3rd season. The only thing that comes close to this is probably Black Lightning 3rd season, but even there, I think Superman and Lois 3rd season is slightly better. Stargirl 3rd season is obviously better. I think it's the best live action season. I think of any show I watched. I really like a lot Stargirl 3rd season, and as we speak about that, I really want to rewatch the entire show again because that show was amazing, man. I like it so much.
If you liked it or disliked it.
Yeah. So as he types it out, I will keep telling my issues because I'm not done adding my issues. So the Cecile stuff bothers me so much for so many reasons. Barry plot armor was crazy. He got smashed into a building and then he fell many floors and crashed into lots of glass. I get it. He is a meta-human with great healing factor, but the plot armor feels real. Man, he got pushed like a ragdoll. I'm like, that's fine, but man, it's like it fall from fucking 30 floors, man.
Yeah.
That would take at least a few minutes.
I thought that episode was average. Yeah. I definitely thought it was a lot worse than average, but okay, so yeah, I thought it was average.
Yeah, but like, what's your take on it, Cole? Am I justified to say plot armor was crazy there when he just fell off the
No, it's
building?
stupid. It's stupid. Like if it's no, if we're talking about some fucking character like I don't know if you saw No Way Home, did you?
That's funny. I have backstory with No Way Home. That was maybe a year ago. I went at my friend's house because I got a friend where he has a huge speaker and we watch movie and music, and we always get drunk. And we watched No Way Home by the end of the night. So I basically passed out in the middle of the movie. So I seen like the first half an hour or so, and I passed out. And when I woke up when the three Peter were like on the show, like the end of the movie. Like, so I missed like
That is
anything that
hilarious.
happened. It's
That is absolutely like fucking hilarious because it's like you wake up and you're just like, am I dead? Am I seeing things? What the fuck is this? Holy fuck! Okay,
so
I
woke
was gonna
up-
say there's a scene where they go to his apartment, Peter's, and he tries like helping them with their certain powers, and he does with like at least one of them and such. But one of them then causes like a fight to break out, and then I won't go past that. I won't spoil anything else that happens from there. But one of the parts of the fight is that they like go down some floor and like hard cement floor and like smash each other both down there. Spider-Man and another character who's based on his past films has a lot of like durability and stuff and can withstand that and makes sense, with his powers and stuff. So and it's a scene like that, or something like that, or like falling down a bunch of stories, makes sense. I was just giving that comparison there. With something like this and this character, with what they set up prior, fuck no.
Like it's like even there you can say he has healing factor. Okay, where are his broken ribs and bones? Like it was shown that yes, he can break his bones, but they heal fast. So what would take months and years for something to heal for a normal person, in hours that would be solved. But in Barry case, he could just get back up. He was crippled, but he could just get back up like after like few seconds after like falling all these floors and being smashed into so many things. I'm like, bruh, you want me to suspend disbelief too much. I was rolling my eyes, and it's not over. The scene keep going on for more eye rolling material next season for next week.
Oh yay! I'm so excited.
There's a fucking filler episode all about Cecile, and the subplot is Allegra and her cousin. That's like one of the worst episodes in the show. Season 7 has some really rough episodes. It's not the worst season. I think 5 was the worst, but there's a lot of shit in season 7. So, next up, Barry figuring out that the negative speed force went through the blue crystal. I like it because at last Barry is smart again. Barry is not an even character. There are points like season 5 where he is really stupid to let Nora mess up and do her own flashpoint. And there are points like here where he kind of realized what's going on. And there are points like in the prison in season 4 where he was able to break out. It's uneven. Like for each time Barry was smart, you can point out to times where he was stupid. It's how uneven that character has been in the show. And this is hilarious because this is one of the few exceptions in the Arrowverse. Because Black Lightning was always smart. In season 4, he did a few off character stuff. I won't spoil anything, but this is because of trauma and stuff that was going on in the show at that point. But Black Lightning in his own show was always smart. It was always even. Oliver in his own show was most of the time even. The only season where Oliver was off was in season 4 and a bit season 3 as well, actually. So the worst 2 seasons of Arrow were not even, but out of the 8 seasons of Arrow, we had 6 solid seasons for Oliver/Green Arrow. With The Flash, I cannot say the same. The Flash had more seasons, and it was even more not even. As I said, for each good thing that happened for Barry, a bad thing happened for Barry in the Flash TV show. And it's so sad. I really want to defend the show and like it. But when I see these times where he figure out things on his own, I like it. I want that more, but it's a bit too late. The show is over, but yeah. Next up, Chester is great, despite him reduced into giving pep talks. I said it. He's given shit material. He still does great with it. Eddie becoming the villain. Barry versus Nora. Even if plot armor was crazy, I enjoyed their short fight they had. It was enjoyable. It was entertaining. It felt like a flash fight. That was great until he crashed into a building and then fell 20 floors. Next up, Eddie struggle. Iris saying the truth. The cliffhanger. So this episode for me is a 4.5 out of 10. So for me, it's awful. 5 for me is bad, and if it's under 5, it's awful. DC score is a 5 out of 10. For him, it's average. And yeah, what about you, Cole? What would be your grade out of 10 with this episode?
2.
2 out of 10? Because you were a bit far, so I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it's a 2 out of 10.
Okay, so I will mark down the timestamp. 30, 20, Flash, season 9, episode 11. 12. I'll take a picture of it. Then we move on to Alien versus Predator. So yeah, let's discuss about that. So DC, even if Cedric as a villain was amazing. That was like the highlight of that season. This is why that season is worth rewatching, and I think season 10 dealing with the aftermath of Crisis was amazing. Episode 10 was probably the best post-Crisis episode we had. Even Supergirl had post-Crisis, and some of the episodes in post-Crisis and Supergirl were really strong episodes. They were really good episodes, but it wasn't anywhere near as good as that one with the Flash. The Flash had the best post-Crisis episode with episode 10.
Yeah. Because like I'd say every season of Flash is 10 times better than any season of Supergirl. Well, apart from maybe at least if we're talking about season 3 or 4, maybe there are some elements that are better, but season 3 definitely not for me. Definitely not season 3 or 5 for me.
This is exactly where we disagree. Because Supergirl had season 3 and 4. I like these two seasons a lot. They're not as good as the best seasons of The Flash, but they're clearly better than all of the worst seasons of Flash. Season 5 was rough. Season 5 was like as bad as The Flash season 7. A bit worse, actually.
Yeah, I'd say season 5 was way worse because I'm like, what's going on here?
We will cover Supergirl eventually. We will cover that. Hell yeah. So, Bloodwork, man. I keep praising Bloodwork, but that was amazing. Now, let's go over our top 3 and 3 worst episodes that season. Starting with Cole, what would be...
So much that I couldn't.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great episode, Multi-Talk. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. The only reason I didn't mention it is because I sometimes forget that's even an episode, but man, it's a great episode, but yeah.
And it's, you know what's the hilarious thing? It's in my top 5 episode in the entire show.
Wow.
It's 5th place. I liked it so much, and I'm like, this is like Eric Wallace's first attempt into making like an interlude episode, if we can call it that way, because the focus is not Barry or the main storyline. It's really like a supporting character, and this one is done right. So how can you mess that one up after? How can you do like Rayo Del Rose in season fucking 7? How can you do Masquerade? How can you do like, why Eric Wallace? Why you gave us one of my favorite episodes in the entire show, and you dare to fuck it up if you try again to do it another episode?
Probably because he doesn't. I think at that point he wanted to test out how episodes not featuring Barry would work, but because Cisco was a beloved character, unlike Chester.
Chester, I like him a lot, but he's just average. He's just like Dolores Store fucking Cisco.
Yeah.
It's like the bad Cisco version. It's like the cheaper copy.
Yeah, it's like maybe that's why season 6 worked better in the later season, because they actually, the centric episodes were on characters that they love, the beloved characters who have been in the show since season 1. That's why the Cisco episode worked in season 6. The reason I don't think the Allegra episodes work is because nobody gives a crap about Allegra.
Yeah, we don't like her. We don't like her. Some haters, some don't like her, some don't care about her.
Yeah. Even then, there wasn't a reason as to why Cisco had to be the center point of the episode. And even then, you did have some Flash, even if it was more Cisco related.
That episode, no. Barry was on vacation, and that was a test to see if Cisco could be team leader while Barry.
I mean, I'd say there's some episodes, but man, that's really tough because there's not a single episode I generally think is bad. That's really tough. So, all right, just for now, I'm just gonna say one of them would be Love is a Battlefield. I still enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed it. I think because I enjoyed it. Kiss Kiss Breach Breach, just probably because I keep forgetting it's actually an episode, but I enjoyed the episode, so I still enjoyed it. So still a good episode. Probably episode 17, the episode where Barry figures out something's wrong with Iris, or Iris is not Iris. Still enjoyed the episode though. Those are the 3 episodes I say I didn't enjoy nearly as much, but I still enjoyed them.
I mean, I thought Liberation at least tried to do something interesting.
Yeah, and it did, and I have to say it's a great episode. But yeah, it's a great episode for me.
I mean, for me, it's honestly the main culprit's just episode 11. You know which one that is, and then episode episode 16 as well, and then I was close to putting one of the last 2 episodes on here, and that's what probably a lot of people would do. But actually, I kind of hated episode 12 more than episode 19.
Really? Interesting. Why?
Because I thought it was just incredibly boring and forgettable, and I didn't like any of the execution they attempted, and like any of the characters. I thought it was like a nothing burger with like no like impactful moments for me personally. I thought it felt like a fucking Legends of Tomorrow episode.
Okay, very interesting take. What would be your third one already?
Oh, I said that Love is a Battlefield, and pretty much a tie between 16 and 19 for me.
Feeling you, man. So my worst is Love is a Battlefield. Side note, it's for me the fifth worst episode in the entire show. And be ready, Cole, because 3 of these 5 are in the next 2 seasons. Be ready. So obviously, Battlefield is clearly the worst thing season 6 created. The second worst, I'm I'm really looking into it. I think its success is assured, which is 19, and then it would probably be Pipe the Piper episode 18. So these are like my bottom 3, but I feel like most of the back half is like almost the same level. It just
Yeah.
feels
Episode 18 almost made it over episode 12 for me, but I at least enjoyed 2 things in episode 18 more.
Yeah, that's also one of my favorites. I forgot to mention as well, but yeah.
So honorable mention in bad
Yeah.
episode, The Exorcist of Nashville's. I'm like, man, that one was rough. The one time you don't need to bring back reverse slashes that time, and they did it, man.
Yeah,
Don't
but
lean in.
I personally feel like this and that one, it made a little bit more sense as they tried to at least explain how Dawn always returns, and also kind of to see if there's something different with Dawn post-crisis. But even then, I felt it was better executed than Dawn in season 8 or the later seasons after season 6, which is just 7 through 9.
So next up would be the grade out of 10, starting with Cole.
This is like I'll give it a 3.
For me, it was a 7.5 out of 10, which is for me average. If it was just the first half, I would be like, that's like a 10. That's like the best thing the show did. But just because the back half exists, cannot say that. It drops a lot just because of the back half. What about you, DC? What would be your grade out of 10 for season 6 of The Flash?
A 10.
Okay.
I thought you were going to give it an 11.
Oh, I was actually gonna make like a joke, like say 100 out of 10, but I was like, no, just 10, just to make things a little more understanding of things. But yeah, I would have said 11 or 100.
Okay, so next up, except if you guys would like to share something else, we move on to Alien versus Predator, the first one. I guess nobody wants to add anything. So,
But yeah, so there was a lot of, but with this, there's like nothing memorable really, besides maybe like the opening. There was nothing I remembered at all from it. There's nothing like impactful, in pop culture, and that like sticks out for me. It's just like a very forgettable film that was just made because this was a time where there was like this crave of like seeing different things fight each other after the Godzilla films kind of flopped, and after there were a lot of other franchises and stuff, and things that capitalize on with teen audiences like Freddy versus Jason. Like they even made a fucking, if we ever get to these 2 franchises someday, we might actually watch it for shits and giggles. But I shit you not, they made a fucking Grudge versus like the Ring film as well. Like
what
those
the
2,
fuck?
yeah, those 2 different spirits, ghost
What?
things. Yeah, it's so fucking weird. But anyway, that's all I have to really
What?
say. Overall, this was a poor film, but it's not complete garbage like one other Alien versus Predator film, which we'll get to soon later. So anyway, who wants to go next?
I guess I'll go next.
Yeah.
All right, I thought that this film was actually incredible and amazing, actually. So hot take. So, but yeah, I feel like I do know. I think some of the reasons for why the whole continuity thing might be a little confusing was because I heard from a review that AVP isn't actually canon to the Alien or Predator film.
I would consider it canon, though.
Oh.
No,
Oh.
they might have not intended it to be, but here's the thing. Ridley Scott, whatever his name again, he does a lot of weird stuff in his older years, I guess, with this franchise, which you'll see later with stuff like Alien Covenant. He kind of just does whatever he wants, because he doesn't really care. He's like 83, he won't be around much longer, he said. So, it's just like, yeah, we have Alien Predator films, fuck it, just make it canon without understanding, maybe there's things in there that you might not want to make it canon because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed the ancient history with the xenomorphs and the predators. I think it was actually a very clever usage of sci-fi and ancient history, which I think works well. And
that was the best part of the film.
Yeah, and even though the movie is PG-13, there were times it felt like it was rated R from how.
Yeah, like the kid who went like hunting.
Yeah, like when the predator was like killing those people, I was like, damn, this is pretty damn dark. And turns out I literally forgot it was PG-13 because I did watch one review about it years ago. But yeah, other stuff.
Maybe it's because rating changed over the years, and what is rated R today is not the same as before. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, but apparently one of the reasons from what I remember was because there was slime in it.
Yeah.
But
so keep going, bro. I like what happened after the fight and when she basically earned the respect of the Predator. That's cool. But if you wanted that, don't show us that the alien is faster than the human, because that breaks your movie. Your movie is broken, bro. Outside of that, I will say this: I quite enjoyed a lot of the trip. It was much better than I thought. I was like, "Oh man, that movie will be bad." Cole was like, "That movie will be bad," and I ended up like watching it and enjoying it despite my issues. The opening scene, we get right into the action. The lore of who made the pyramid was interesting, and I will add more. At first, I had the issue with the girl climbing the mountain because I felt like it was filler. But after watching the entire movie and after thinking about it, I was like, they wanted to show us she is athletic. And this is a good example of showing instead of telling. But at first, I thought that was a filler scene. They just wanted to showcase to tell us, look, she is a strong character. Look, she is fabulous. But in
Yeah.
the end, it was mainly to showcase her being athletic, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a filler scene that tries to do similar stuff, Mission Impossible 2 in the opening with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, we already know he's athletic based on
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it was a good scene, but what was the point of it for the actual story? There wasn't any.
yeah, because we already knew he was athletic. That's the thing. We already knew he was in shape because that's the second movie, and a lot of people have seen the first one prior, so don't really need that. Maybe that's something you can introduce in your first movie that could work. But yeah, as I said, at first I thought that was a filler scene when she was climbing the mountain, but after thought, I'm like, oh yeah, they wanted to show you why she's in shape and why she can like maybe outrun the alien, even if it doesn't make sense. The girl was very likable. The girl changing her mind and staying felt like character growth at some extent because she's like, yeah, that will still do it. So I'll try my best to keep them alive. Because at first she wanted to leave. She's like that reluctant hero, and I enjoyed that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we can move on to the grade, except if you guys would like to add something to this.
Not for me.
Not for me.
I will give a 7 out of 10 for me. It's average. My issues do drag down the movie a lot, but I was surprised by it. I was like, oh, that's enjoyable. It's not as good, but I actually like that movie more than the first Alien. I remember giving the first Alien a 6.5. I wasn't bored. What about you, DC? What would be your grade out of 10?
A 9.
What about you, Cole?
Again, it's good on an enjoyment factor and what it went for like a popcorn flick. I'll give you guys that so I can understand it. Again, though, like not all those issues aside, I mentioned as well, just how it's made though and stuff in a lot of areas. I thought it was really weak, and I will say the lighting and visuals in most areas was good, which was the most important thing. But still, yeah. For me, this is like around the 3.5 to 4, so around like the kind of bad to mediocrity area for me. The more I think about it, so yeah.
Okay, so I will mark down the timestamp, but I need. Okay, there you go. Requiem.
Nice.
It has. They landed in Africa, and yet there's no one, unless yeah. It's like what happened? Are they still alive? And it's like,
well, they actually landed at the very end in Paris, I believe. That was the Eiffel Tower that was falling.
Paris? Oh, I thought it was Africa because
no, that's Paris. That was the Eiffel Tower.
Of course, they did that because it's the French director. God damn it.
Yeah, that's the Eiffel Tower. You guys didn't recognize it?
I thought it was because from the way I saw the way the space shuttle was landing, it looked like it was landing in the middle of Africa.
No, that's Paris. They landed in Paris.
You know what? This is a message for it's a message. Them crash landing in Paris. That right there, and then the franchise, at least with that connection of films, they're pretty much ending. Yeah, that's the sign of them realizing that it's doomed and waving the white flag like France during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Any other issue?
2.5 to 3 hours around that.
I had 6 likes in 2 hours and a half, and I had shit ton of issues. Like sometimes I don't have that many likes, but I don't have that many issues.
Did
so
you like
movie
it
end
more
up
than
being
She-Hulk?
like. Actually, I'd say She-Hulk is slightly better.
Yeah, because at least in like the 4
I never went in the minus with She-Hulk.
episodes,
I never went in the
it's good
minus.
like 3 likes,
The lowest She-Hulk
Just about
got for me. You're cutting
3
out, bro.
to 4 likes per episode.
You're cutting
I
off.
am. Oh shit! 1 second.
Now it looks better.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, yeah, because in She-Hulk, you at least had like a few likes per every like 40-minute episode, which is a better ratio than like 3 hours and 6 likes.
The worst episode of She-Hulk for me was a 0.5, and I didn't add points because it went in the minus. It just didn't go in the minus. But Black Panther was the first time ever something we covered went in the minus. I'm not joking. If something goes in the minus, something went wrong. Something is broken. I think nothing can beat that. I could be surprised. It could impress me someday. But I'd say Troll 2 was better. I'd say Toxic Avenger was better. I think Troll 2 almost went in the minus, but I'm not quite sure about that one. I don't even remember. I think that was the kind of movie where I barely had likes and I had a few issues. So it ended up being a terrible movie, but it didn't go in the minus. It just didn't. Yeah, so okay. First issue with Resurrection. The very long intro took forever. Bruh, why? This is annoying. I just want to see the movie move on. I'm done seeing these people credit. There's the end credit for that. Do 10 minutes of end credit. I don't need to sit through it. Scientists being dumb enough to keep her memory intact. Sci-fi aspect didn't age well since lots of the tech used are tech from the 2000s in space. And keep in mind, we are in 2023, and it's said in the movie it's 200 years after the Alien movies. 200 years.
200
And
years
that was
after, technically 200 years after Alien 3, but you're right.
that's even worse.
Yeah.
That's even worse. They use 2000 tech in space when it's like 2500 or 2600, something like that. You know, it's very far in the future, man. And they still use 2000 tech, like the metallic capture, the metal tracker, the metal detector. That's what I was looking for. Metal detectors are something in 2023 I use sometime in some of my contract in security, and I'm just a security guard. Like, I'm a normal person. I'm not like in a ministry or something, you know. And sometimes I use that tech. So when I see them entering the ship and getting like detected by metals, it's like, bruh, why don't you make like your entire ship being like metal detector or something, or you showcase like something that's actually futuristic instead of just showing like, oh, they have these things that detect metals. It's high tech. It's high tech. It's high tech.
You don't deserve that. Just like moments from it, it's hilarious. It's literally just a film where they transport like 100 people in this area and they have to like race or else they're gonna die. It's just called the human race, and they have this guy who has one leg and crutches, who's the main character, and he somehow wins. And he was also that guy who won on Big Brother the first season. He was actually disabled. It was the funniest shit ever.
I also have seen the video you recommended me about assault and grape jokes. I enjoyed that channel a lot in these videos. I've actually seen many videos over that channel. I think that's one of my favorite channel I found out. Thank you very much, Cole.
Every frame of painting. Or...
That was like really good, and I spent hours watching videos there after that. So anyway, that was the tangent. I think we are good.
Yeah, again, like that's how you do visual comedy, right?
Yeah. So I think.
Like She-Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. She-Hulk is trash, but Wakanda Forever is worst. I guess now we can move on to the great except if you guys would like to add more to this topic.
Not for me.
Okay, so I gave this movie a 4.5 out of 10, just like the other one. But I think that one is slightly worse. Slightly worse because there's less things I liked. That's it. What about you, DC?
I would give it a 5.5.
And what about you, Cole?
What did you give it again, multi-topic? I was just curious. I didn't hear it.
4.5, just like Requiem. But I think it's slightly worse than Requiem.
Yeah, for me, this is... again, when it comes to like personal enjoyment and stuff like that, this is somehow worse than Requiem. But again, just as a film of how it's made and acted and such, I can't call it worse than Requiem. Because Requiem is like as bad as like a bootleg straight to DVD film by like idiot. Well, it was made by idiots who didn't know how to make films. So yeah, literally, this. Yeah, I can't say it's on that level, but yeah, it was still also a cinematic disaster. So I'll give it like a 2 out of 10. And I just feel bad that Leona Reader was wasted her time with this because
Robot Cole. Maybe quit and come back. Slightly, but maybe quit and come back.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll refresh and see if it works.
Oh, it's better now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Look, and it makes me question though why people think this film is like a masterpiece, or because I love the things that it does right, but again, with those things, weaknesses, well, at least in comparison to the strengths, that kind of drags it down. And with it being his first film, so he's not like fully experienced yet, I feel like there was a lot of room for improvement and things he messed up on, but oh well. But when it comes to the strengths, so yeah, there were a lot of strengths in this for me. First and foremost, and this is the same thing with pretty much all of his films. Besides maybe like I do think Keke Palmer's performance in Nope was a little weak in areas, but besides that, just like in all the other films, I do think the performances were all fantastic. The music in all of his films, the music is fantastic, and he did a great job here again. The cinematography and some of the visuals, like in each of them, are fantastic here as well. Let's see, and also now he doesn't just do a horror in each film; he also adds like a blend of comedy in each of them as well. So it's horror / comedy, and in some of them it works better than others. With this one, I think it works the best. The comedy in this, the comedy, in my opinion, in Us, the comedy works the least in it, and then Nope, in between. But this, I think it works the best.
Yeah,
and yeah. So yeah, overall excellent film, but I don't see why people would call it a masterpiece. But oh well, still an excellent film. Yeah, it has some weaknesses here and there, but oh well. But also there was one actually they had an alternate ending to this film. I don't know if you saw it, but because the real ending is his friend comes. The alternate ending is instead of his friend coming, police come and then like arrest him while he's like on top of her, and then it ends with him in like prison and his friend like coming to meet him, and like
that's a shit ending.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I'm
mean, if
glad
you
they didn't win for that
yeah,
movie.
I like the other one more, but yeah, it's on YouTube if you want to watch it. Yeah, it was like kind of a pretty
That,
sad ending.
because the sad ending, the thing is, it goes back to the trope of they arrested another innocent black guy. It's like,
Well, it's
I
not just
get the
it,
racial message throughout the movie. I get it, and
yeah.
that's fine to address that. But they address it with a sledgehammer. That's what went wrong.
That's the thing though. The message right there. Again, that would have been a fine end, like message ending, fine ending to have. And if you watch it on YouTube, the scene's actually done really well. But there's a lot of like loopholes that involve it because, like, unless the cops and everybody at that in that area are also super racist or like in on it with them, if that was the case, though, then I feel like they would just like police brutality, shoot and kill him. Though, then I feel like they would like explore the house and because he killed all those people there, at least in the area at the moment. So I feel like they could investigate whatever. It leaves open a lot. So I guess that's why he didn't have it in there. But yeah, it's a little weird. But also, again, the supporting performances, there were a couple I didn't like as much, but for the most part, yeah, they were all fantastic as well. But also, there was a lot of like great like visual scenes they did with like a lot of characters' faces. That I think he did a fantastic job with that. Mainly with like the lead character, like his facial expressions were fantastic. But also with the one female character who was like brainwashed near the beginning, like
Well,
that was fantastic as well. He did really creepy stuff with that I really enjoyed. Now, the one thing that I was going to again, there's some things that I'm like leaving out because I'm gonna save it for like us, and then I can compare like all three of them. But one thing I will say though, one last thing, and then I'll let you guys continue. Is that I do think that Jordan Peele has fantastic ideas for all of his films and fantastic horror ideas and everything. I do think he might be better with different genres because I do think some of these things might be better in stuff like that's non-horror or non-comedy. I do think like maybe if he tried his hands at just like a regular drama thriller like Prisoners, then he would do a better job.
It. The girlfriend mother was likable and she was mysterious, and the boyfriend was very likable. I enjoy him. He was very grounded. I think that's the same actor that played the main character in Nope, right? It feels like Jordan Peele always casts the same people.
I cast some of the same people. Mainly, yeah, he cast Daniel Kaluuya in this and Nope now.
Yeah. I thought his character in Nope was slightly better, but the one in this movie was more grounded than the other one.
He did get an Oscar nominee for this one, and not for Nope, though.
Yeah. The girlfriend is also another likable character until the reveal, and even after the reveal, you're like, "That's a crazy villain. I like that crazy villain." The sounds are really good. The family being creepy is enjoyable. The house is a character. The blind guy, I enjoyed him. The main character friend telling him to leave, get out of there.
Yeah, we'll start because he accidentally took the picture with made him like it makes him snap out of it for like 8 seconds.
Yeah, and the Flash triggering a psychosis, I liked it a lot. I think the theme of trauma is well handled. The main character packing up to leave, the reveal of the girlfriend being a liar, the friend realizing Chris got trapped. Funny police precinct was hilarious. I was rolling my eyes in a good sense. I laughed so hard. I think that's my favorite scene since we covered this podcast. That's one of the top scene, like top tier, like that police precinct where everyone is listening to the story and they're like laughing at the guy's face. They're like, yeah, that's not happening. It's a parody. It's realistic. It was genius. I understand the Oscar for this movie just because of that scene. That scene was priceless. It's like top tier scene.
More though, which I'll say why when we get to us. Yeah, again though, I don't really understand why people think this is like a 10 out of 10 no because also the things I mentioned, but also because like again, a lot of people like think this is like very like the things it brings up are like revolutionary or something, which I don't understand. All these things that the film touches on have already been done before in other films and pop culture like many times, and if anything, kind of better. Like maybe not like all them like put together in a film like this, but still. So yeah, so I don't really understand that. Also, I will say though, I talked to a lot of people like Chaz, and yeah, they've said like yeah, there were. I don't live in the U.S. I never have. I did travel here and there though, so I wouldn't have known. But people who do like Chaz and Philosophical Pickle and stuff, they actually said there was actually like real life consequences to this film when it released. Like there were actually people, but like in relationships who now got freaked out by this film. You know, like it's like are you trying? Yeah, it's like you trying to get at me or something. So hey, I guess it kind of
my eyes.
Yeah, so it's like it kind of succeeded its goal there. But I was also I do think there was already films that like did this sort of thing, like characters going to a place that that they're not really welcome and then blah blah blah. But I will say though there are other films who then like tried copying what Get Out did afterwards and they really failed. Like I know there was this one film that came out last year called The Invitation that was pretty bad. It was
I heard about it.
Yeah, it was basically
almost covered. And
yeah.
I think this is the way to do it. You can give as much diversity as you want in your show, but you need to be smart about what you do to do it.
Okay, as long as it fits in instead of just feeling unnatural, it's fine. Like like that's also well actually I'm gonna comment on to now, but maybe if we ever get to it one day, example I was going to give. Just never mind. But I will say there has been shows and films that they've done it, and comic book shows, and it didn't feel unnatural. It felt like a fit. Like I would say, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What was the name? It was like stereotyping him. I think it actually kind of worked with the plot though, because of what they were doing in that episode. It actually fit that it was in it, and it also was a message that a lot of not an obvious one, like racism is bad or homophobia is bad, and all, like one not as many people know about. Like anybody could be like racially identified even if you're famous, and it also doesn't mean like it was an ill will attempt either. And I think that's what it was kind of like saying. So there's good ways to do, and then there's other ways where it just feels like forced, like Hollywood executive writers just like trying to be woke for the sake of it. And
and I think when they mishandle diversity and representation, I think that hurts their cause a lot. It hurts it because it gives ammo to the anti-woke people and the racist and the bigot and the chud, because they're like, look, this is bad. And when they bring like Batwoman, for example, they are actually right, because this is bad representation and diversity. Like, they're wrong to be bigot and chuds, but they basically have ammo in their gun because you cannot do your diversity well. So with that being said, I think that tangent went for a bit longer than I thought it would, but that's a big part of my issues with season 1. It's the dialogue, the messaging, it's all wrong and poorly handled. I just cannot get behind that. And I like the idea of being awareness to that, but I hate the execution. The execution makes myself hate. Like, I hate myself after watching a Batwoman TV show. You know what I mean? And it's not because I'm a bigot or anything. It's just because white people are bad. You need to be this or that to be good. And it's more like preaching than solving stuff. The other big issue, the fight choreography, man. Depending on who's doing the fight, sometimes it does work. Sometimes it's believable. I think most fights Sophie and Julia both had were a bit more believable than Kate Kane. Sometimes they were not at the same extent as Kate Kane, but it wasn't as often. Each time you see Kate Kane, 90-pound girl, no muscle whatsoever, flipping a guy twice her size, I don't believe it. Like, when she used her entire body, maybe, just maybe, you make him fall because you jump on him and you did some karate or Krav Maga move and you were able to put down someone with your entire body, maybe I can get it. But if your arm are the thing that lift up a guy twice your size, I'm sorry, but it doesn't make sense for me. And this is something all over the place in Gotham Knights. And this is something so much involved in Batwoman, especially for season. Kate Kane is small. She is... I suspect she doesn't even do her stunt or anything. Maybe she does, but I don't think so. So yeah, Kate Kane just flipping people the way she did most of the time wasn't believable. Like, the show is over, it's enough. Maybe you watch the pilot. Actually, you watch 1, 8, and then 10 and above. You don't need to watch like 2 to 6. And in 6, judge, jury, and executioner, or I can't remember, that episode was bad. I feel like every Arrowverse TV show had that kind of weekly villain that wants to do their own justice. And I feel like each time they did that, they did it wrong. Supergirl did that twice, and both times it went wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Were you continuing?
Batwoman did it once, and it was bad. Man, stop with the politics in my show.
Well, I don't know. Do you have anything else to say?
Season 1 was awful. I think I did spoke long enough, except if you guys would like to add more to this.
Listen, I would give this I'll give it like around a 1 out of 10, but if I want to be generous, then I'd give it maybe like a 1.25, just for the 0.25 for the stunt work there.
I will admit, some of the stunt were fine, but I think most of the fight choreography was awful.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't really count fight choreography as stunts, so that's why. I mean, more stuff like with the motorcycle and such. I thought that was like done well, despite it being shot horribly and such.
You're right. The camera work isn't great, so I will give my own grade, and then we will move to DC because I feel like you like that much more than us. My grade for season 1 of Batwoman, 3.5 out of 10. Fun fact: on my first watch and my second watch, both of these two watch, it was higher. It was a 4.5, but now it's a 3.5 because these issues are really pulling the show down for me, and it's unwatchable. It's unwatchable.
Yeah. What's your grade?
What's your grade, DC?
11 out of 10.
So that's a good thing you liked it,
Yeah.
We won't spoil anything, but I think you'll like it even more after watching episode 20.
Yeah.
There is that villain in episode 20, wide spoiler. I like that villain.
Yeah.
I
love charisma.
What? But I was just gonna say, I hear that season 2 and season 3 are like far better than season 1. So yeah. So I have other things to look forward to.
And I will also say this: my most recent watch, I actually liked even more season two. Um, like it was the second time I was watching season 2 and 3. Season one is the only season I've seen more than once. That was the third time I was watching season one. But yeah, season two, I enjoyed quite a lot. Now we can be very lightweight in spoilers, just like season one with season two. Was the Alice backstory, but I thought the Alice backstory in that episode was amazing. The reason why it didn't scale as high as other episodes in my list is because it was every surrounding thing, like the dialogue, everything outside of these flashbacks was godly, awful, terrible, unwatchable. So you
Yeah.
get like that gem in the rough. Let's call it that way.
Yeah.
We got a gem in the rough. Like we get amazing flashbacks, but
Yeah.
we get so much shit on present day. It's like I cannot say it's an amazing
Yeah,
episode.
that's why I call it episode 8, because again, great story, great performances, and greatly filmed, where it was really invested and actually worked. Unlike like episode 4 of last season, but just like episode 8 of season 1 for me, though, the write-in, even though it's in my top 3, the write-in and the dialogue completely drags it down, as you said.
Yeah, so I feel like Fair Skin, Blue Eyes is an attempt to do better than that episode I mentioned from season 1.
Yeah.
And they actually succeeded for me. Both I still had issues. That episode is like in the middle of the show so far. It's not in the upper end, it's not in the bottom end, it's really like straight up in the middle. They did it better because I cared and I wasn't rolling my eyes every time I would see like KK or something. Yeah, it was like a better attempt. So when I see that kind of episode, I see the progress. I don't know how they did it, but they did a better season with season 2. So what would be your worst 3 episode in season 2 and your favorite 3 in season 2?
My worst 3 would be episode 1, episode 2, and then probably episode 7, I'll say. But and then my favorite 3 would probably be let's see, I think episode, yeah, probably not any of the beginning ones. It was sort of the same as season 1 for me, but done better. Some of the beginning ones. But anyway, I would say the worst. Favorite would probably. I'll start off with episode 11. Apparently, a lot of people liked episode 12 and episode 13. I mean, they were definitely not some of the bad ones for me, but I wouldn't go with those personally. So yeah, episode 11, episode 15, and then I'd probably say episode 16. And episode 17 and 18 are apparently the 2 last ones are others that apparently a lot of people least hate, I'll say, as well, going by the ratings apparently. With just episode 16 being higher rated. I didn't, though, and especially not episode 18 for a reason, which I think you know.
Yeah. Yeah, oh my. This went full on Supergirl.
Anyway, what are yours?
So my worst 3 are episode 1, that's the worst episode in the show, and it's up there among the worst episode of TV ever. The next up would be episode 14, Justice for All, bro. That's the abuse of power episode. That was eye-rolling cringe shit.
And then third?
And third would be War on Kavnaz. I actually forgot why this one is there. I can't even remember that episode.
Oh, that one. No, I can see why it is. Like, again, I think the characters were really annoying, I think, in that one.
Yeah, okay,
And,
that makes sense.
Yeah, like Oriana, whatever her name is.
Oh, yeah, okay, now I remember.
For me, though, I actually, and for some reason, out of all, like, the first 7 or 8 episodes, this is the highest rated out of all those. But for me, I thought episode 3 was more annoying than Gore on Canvas or whatever.
Quite a detail, so DC won't understand the thing. Like, the Corrupt Crow, in episode 14 that treated the cliffhanger, he was the worst thing about this season, I think. He was like a supporting villain that was godly terrible, like plot device, man. No personality whatsoever.
Yeah.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I'm sure that inspired some characters in Gotham Knights, so
that shit was awful.
Yeah.
I was like, it's Batwoman. It's Batwoman. To make such a terrible character being a villain, it's Batwoman.
Yeah, well, anyway, I'm just gonna say my rating now. This would be like around a 2.5 to 3 out of 10.
And for me, it's a 5 out of 10. Much better than season 1, and much better than the last time I've seen it, because there was a character arc for Justicia, and individual episode can be very enjoyable. But I think it's the overall product. Some of the execution is off, some of the dialogue is awful, and sometimes fight choreography, just like season 1, doesn't make any sense. Most of it makes sense. I do think Jafisia Leslie Ryan Wilder, she is fit and she is tall. Like I'd say she is probably 5'8", 5'7". I'm pretty sure she is taller than Kate Kane, so it's more believable that she can like do karate and stuff. And even there, she is a bit thicker, a bit bigger, and that helps out to swallow easier the pill. And I suspend disbelief less with Ryan Wilder than with Kate Kane, because Kate Kane, each time she flips someone, I cringe. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for me. It could have been better, but it was better than what I remembered, because I thought it was like a 4.5, a 4 the first time I've seen it, but on my most recent watch, I gave a 5. And this is actually surprising, because most of the time on my most recent watch, pretty much everything we covered got slightly worse, except for maybe like the Flash Forward season that got slightly better. But most of the time when I rewatch stuff, it gets slightly worse for some reason. But here, it got slightly better. Maybe I'm too generous? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I was probably just so happy that Ruby Rose was gone, so I went a little bit easier on the show.
Yeah, I think everyone was happy when she's gone. She was such a terrible actress, a terrible character.
Yeah, she's terrible in everything, but besides one thing, and that's because she didn't fucking speak.
maybe
that's what she needs to do from now on. Jesus Christ. Oh,
Dollar agents.
Jesus Christ. Speaking of John Wick, though, did you hear that fucking news?
What? They will do another spin-off.
Yeah, they said confirmed John Wick 5 in early development. Wait, what are they gonna? Is he going to like fight people in hell?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, like what? There is a possibility though, and I did say it. Maybe he did survive, but his way of finally getting out of like the thing is that they put that tombstone to so everybody thinks he's dead, so then his contract is dead and everything.
Yeah, I found about a lot of channels out there on YouTube, like Eric's Reloaded. That show is an era in itself. That's the first spin-off of one of my favorite TV shows I've ever seen, which is Arrow. So yeah, I felt something in that intro. It's actually funny reverse slash reaction to Eddie appearance. I can't even remember, because that episode was such a bummer and disappointment. Fight was cool if you can forget and forgive them for making Cecile flying. If you can forget that, man, that was good. Jay Garrick appearance was cool. Chillblaine is right that the universe is more important than Eddie, but here again, nobody listened to him because people in the show are dumb. Flash having blood at once. Oh yeah, I remember now. Barry was actually bleeding. I was kind of shocked to see that. I was like, whoa, they had the guts to do that. I don't remember the last time we had blood in the Flash.
It was season 5 or season 6.
Probably, but even there, I can't even remember where in these 2 seasons.
Season 5, it was majority of his fights with Takeda. Season 6,
does he straight up kill people? That may be the reason.
No, it's because in some of the fight scenes where Takeda destroys Barry, you do see Barry get hurt, like in episode 2 and 3.
Is that a 3 of a Vibe?
Yeah, episode 3 was Death of Vibe, or quote unquote death.
I remember that episode, not because it was good, because they misled you, and I really thought they would kill him when I seen the trailer. I was like, whoa, they had the balls to do that, but then you see the episode and you're like, reality. That's actually worse than Flash. But even there, they didn't do any character assassination of past villain. The show was already dead at that point anyway, but why? You bring back Zoom for this shit?
Zoom was fantastic, man. I loved how he just acted like a Homelander. That was great.
Yeah, and for me, Zoom was by far the best villain on the show. So,
yeah. Anyway, did you want to go to ratings?
Yeah, I'm shocked. All of the shows had better ending. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had a freaking better ending. It actually had a perfect ending. Among all of the ending, I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has the best one. Better than Arrow, better than all of them.
I will say, I mean, again, I still said this was a really bad episode, maybe even terrible. I didn't think it was garbage. I did think there were a few positives with it that make it a little bit better than other garbage episodes this season for me. But so I'll give it like a 2.5, generously.
Holy shit! You gave something higher than me. I'm shocked.
Yeah, listen. I don't listen. Maybe if I watched this episode when I was in a better mood and when I also was critiquing it more, then maybe I'd give it like a fucking 1. But I was in a good mood because I realized this is the last Flash episode I have to ever watch.
Well, you still have to watch season 8.
Yeah, but then after that, it's
over.
It's over.
Okay, enough, bro. If I forget monetize, I kind of can get.
I'm sure they won't over that 6 seconds, but
Well, I mean, I one time uploaded a video where it was 30 seconds, and yet it almost got taken down because of copyright.
Viva YouTube.
Yeah, screw YouTube.
Just before the great episode 9. So this is rock bottom for me. The Flash is that bad. that season, bruh. It's so the season is over. I'm curious to hear about guys' score for the entire season now that we finished watching this painful season. Starting with Cole, because I think. Oh, actually, I forgot to ask you, DC. What was your score out of 10 for this episode?
It was a 5 out of 10. I just thought it was an average finale. Pretty underwhelming way to end the show, though.
Yeah, so 5 out of 10 for you. 1.5 for me, 2.5 for Cole. What about the entire season, starting with Cole?
I'll give it like a 2.
What about you, DC?
I'd give it a 5.5. I think the last 2 episodes sort of save it, but not that by that much. It's still one of the worst seasons of the show.
I gave a 4.5 out of 10 to this season. It's the same score as season 5. And the reason why it's the same score is because I know I will probably rewatch 4 episodes this season, which are episode 1, episode 9, episode 10, episode 11, and episode 13. These I will rewatch. Not necessarily 13, more like the end of 13, because the first 20 minutes is shit. So yeah, if I ever rewatch, I think I will just skip all of the trash action we got, just watch the ending. But yeah, like 9, 10, 11, and 1 are like the only watchable thing this season. It's sad. It's so sad the Flash goes out with that grade there. I thought that was slightly better than season 5, because I cannot forgive season 5 for all of these Cicada flyaway. It's like, bruh, no. I cannot forgive what they did to Cisco that season. They character assassinated him. What else did they do wrong? Caitlyn started off somewhat decent that season, but at the end of the season, that was kind of shit. What else season 5 went wrong? The fact that Barry just accept Nora around, knowing how it can be dangerous to just mess up with someone fast. It's just bothered me so much. Like the premise of season 5, oh yeah, Barry forgets about Flashpoint. Let's live a few months with our daughter. End result, she gets erased. That was smart, folks. That's like a perfect example of a filler season. It's like, you can just, is it power?
Yeah, no, I would say about episode 16. Yeah, outside of that, I thought episode 3 was dog shit. and again, all the other seasons before this had a lot of dog shit episodes like this that are rated poorly online. But the thing with this season is it has the least amount of positive episodes, I'll say. And the other seasons, well, it had dog shit episodes. It also had episodes that were terrible, bad, mediocre. All the episodes I didn't like, besides like a few of them, I just thought they were all dog shit. I'm going to say them all right now. I thought 3 was dog shit. I thought 4 was dog shit. I thought 6 was dog shit. Let's see. I thought fucking 9 was dog shit. I thought 10 was dog shit. I thought 11 was dog shit. I thought 13 was dog shit. And for a lot of people liked it, but for some reason I wasn't a fan of episode 17 and episode 18. I thought it was done pretty poorly. Like I get why people like it, but like those episodes, but how they were like shot, how they were done, how they were performed, it was just the production was there, the ideas were there, but I thought it was just done terrible. So maybe not like dog shit, but they were bad. And then the episodes. Oh yeah, right. In episode 14, I forgot to mention that one. Yeah, that was the worst one for sure. Episode 14, and then the other ones.
13 and 14, bro. Masterpiece.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. So anyway, I said like 11 episodes there are dog shit. That is a new record for this show. And then all the other ones like episode 17, episode 18, episode 15, episode what was it again? Yeah, episode 7.
So the verdict, season 7 is your least favorite one.
Yeah, yes. All those are terrible as well, I thought. And then included the 2 last ones, even though a lot of people like them. But then I had those 3 positive ones. And then the ones that a lot of people liked more of, though, such as Enemy of the Gates, Goodbye Vibrations, The People v. Killer Frost. I thought they were still poorly done, not terrible episodes, but wasted potential. So yeah, overall,
arguably the most disappointing season, that's for sure. Like, you have no idea how upset I was when I first watched this season. Which, yeah, it was so upsetting because I really liked the show. It was like my favorite show. Now I don't even know what to think of it. Like, yeah. So I'm gonna go off with the episodes I liked. The 3 episodes, which the 3 episodes I enjoyed were episode 4, the Abracadabra episode, episode 5 when they first introduced the Sage Force, and episode 7 where it introduces Chilblain. Those were the 3 episodes I gave a 9 out of 10, straight up down the middle, 9 out of 10.
Okay.
The 3 episodes I did not like: episode 1, episode 2, and
that's interesting.
Yeah, and episode 6, the Still Force episode. But yeah,
why didn't you like the second episode?
I personally felt like it was Team Flash being at literally their stupidest. Like, it's like for me, any plan Barry can just straight come up with is like, the fact that they don't really go and study Barry's powers, like unlike what they did in earlier seasons. I'm like, well, Barry is meant to be smart in this episode, which really there's more ways you can make Barry smart without having a major boost in power. And the fact that episode one, and the fact that even Nash kind of comes off with the or is one of the reasons why Barry gets the artificial speed thinking ability just makes it worse. And it's like, how does Orson Welles do, or any version of Wells have to do with Barry's intelligence? It's just no. And I just didn't like the whole episode. And besides, I don't even think Barry is at all a selfish person who, if he ever was to go bad, I think that there's still a good part of an evil version of Barry, or at least if it's our main Barry. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why is it so a disappointment for you? What makes
Tony,
it so
I think
disappointing?
I think the reason why I came out, it was very disappointing for me, was because of how we just came out of season 6, which is my favorite season, and because season 7 was going to continue the storyline, I thought, oh well, I was very impressed with season 6. I mean, believe it or not, back in my early days of doing YouTube, the video is gone now, but I made Flash season 7 predictions video where they did where I thought they were gonna have, like, maybe we're gonna have Golden Glider return from season 1 and 2, who literally.
I think I've seen that video. I think because you tell me about that. I think I remember seeing that.
I was using a season 2 poster where it was Barry.
Yeah, I remember about that video. I've seen it, but keep going. What happened?
I think he might have leaked out, or he had to do something. I don't know, but I'm sure he'll send it to us.
His internet crashed.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Based on what I remember, because I've seen that like back in December. Actually, this one maybe more January than December. But yeah, I'm back on StreamYard. Oh, okay, you're back. Oh, he is back.
Yeah.
We are still on season 7 right now. I was mentioning my favorite and my worst. But welcome back, DC.
My phone just was overheating. It needed to cool down for a bit, but I don't know why it happened now, but yeah. But yeah, okay. Everything seems to be all right.
I'm glad we got you back.
Yeah.
So yeah, Speed of Thought. I like that episode, but here's the thing: the way I was placing these episodes in my tier list, each issue I will knock off lots of points because I really wanted that tier list to represent well the TV show as a whole, and I always remember the first 2 seasons to be the best and my favorites. And if I wasn't taking away more points at that point, I would end up with like the top one being all like season 7, 8-ish. I didn't want that. So because of that, like Speed of Thought, I think based on what I remember, my issues with that episode was the dialogue. I can't really remember. Maybe one of the issue I had was Team Flash trying to stop Barry, but we all know they just don't have the power to stop Barry. They make up a plan that just backfires, and that's ironic how stupid this sound, and it's actually true. Like, it's cartoonish. It's laughable how like they thought of everything and it just backfires. And here again, Iris is reduced to a freaking damsel in distress. I'm so tired of this crap. Iris' best season were the first 2 seasons, with some aspect in season 3 that kind of worked. Season 6 had a lot of promise for Iris, but they dropped the ball. So Superman and Lois.
Superman.
Are we starting with Gotham Knight actually, because we both know how bad this was?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Also, by the way, I blame the runtime of the stream on I blame it on. Take a guess.
Huh?
Take a guess who I blame the 4-hour stream runtime on.
Eric Wallace?
Yes. This is his fault.
Eric Wallace, our best friend.
So I mean, yeah, for Superman and Lois, I have less. Oh, we can start with that. I have less to say, and it isn't because I didn't like the episode.
We gotta roast the shit out of that, and then we speak about the good.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about. I don't have much to say about Superman and Lois, but that isn't a bad thing. It's just I don't. But so yeah, Gotham Knights.
I got to start this time around.
Okay.
This was horse shit, and you know what's hilarious? I was on call before I got the job I start tomorrow, right? I was on call for like the last month. I will say that for the last month I was on call. So I had a shift last week, and that was dead. Like, that was a night shift, and my job was basically over by like 3 a.m. because I was assigned to work with contractors to make sure they don't steal stuff, and they were done around 3 a.m. And my shift was scheduled until 9. So I needed to stay there and stay awake and do nothing for like 6 hours. So at some point I'm like, you know what? I got internet here. I will just watch fucking Gotham Knights. And sadly, I wasn't able to watch Superman and Lois at the same night because my phone ran out of battery, and I didn't expect it to run out of battery, because usually in security, you're occupied, you do stuff. But
you know what? That is iconic, though. That's not iconic. That is ironic, though, because the owl hideout in that episode is about as secure as somebody on watch who's busy watching a CW show instead of paying attention. Because what the fuck? How all that stuff they set up and hype up the owl group, and it's that easy to infiltrate their place?
I don't know. This was or shit. So that's hilarious because I was watching this, and because I wasn't home when I was watching it, I was taking notes. But I needed to email myself like the notes many times over, because almost every scene had issues for me, and this is the first time it happens. Gotta die. Like almost every single thing bothered me so much, and the most hilarious thing about that, it's not even the worst episode we had this season. It's the second worst. But bruh, I was rolling my eyes. I was bashing my head on the pillar where I was working. This was terrible. Okay, as I am searching for my notes, I can let you start with your issues.
Okay, yeah. Same flaws as per usual, just horrible to me, and I was really disappointed by also specifically as well the one scene where he gets drugged with something to make him see things and walking through places like that. I have seen so many similar things done in so many great films and video games, including even like a boss fight in this Dead Rising 3 game with this doctor character. I've seen many depictions of that type of thing done really well. And compared to all of them, this is easily the lamest and the worst version of that, with the most wasted potential of what they could have done. It is really garbage. And once again, they have decent ideas for certain clues, but they do nothing with it in films such as 12 Angry Men or other, which we'll watch eventually, or other, mystery films we saw from like Fincher's filmography. They leave all that stuff on the table in front of us still, to see in films while characters try to figure it out themselves. It's easy to, they try to let the audiences figure out, what's going on smartly, and, it's done really well. In Gotham Knights, so while they have interest in ones such as what if the holes is the map, they do not give us an opportunity to figure it out for ourselves or do anything with it. They don't make it any sort of like mystery thing. It's an insult to even call it some sort of mystery element, because they literally introduce it, then have a character solve it themselves without even showing it on screen a millisecond later without any breathing room. Like it's stupid. Like there's nothing to this. There's no puzzle stuff to it's stupid. What the fuck are they even doing? If you're gonna do this, then just don't even fucking do it in the first place. This is horrible. This is made by somebody who doesn't understand how mystery stuff works.
Basically, what I said about being inappropriate to use like live action stuff to like objectify people. Anyway, more dialogue about past scene. Stop doing this shit. I have seen your episode. I don't need PTSD reminder.
You want to see that amazing man suit on the ground there?
Jokes don't land. They tried really hard to be funny. And this is funny because 5 minutes later, I have another message sent to myself. They want the scene with Turner parents to be emotional, and I felt nothing. And now, the next stop is Duella thinking about making a deal with the court. Didn't they forgot last time they tried that, they almost all died on the spot in the forest? And it was a miracle, or I should say it was one armor that basically saved their ass. Did she forgot last time they tried that their lives were in danger? So I repeat myself, but that's godly awful. Character basically forgets. More trash dialogue, more love triangle crap. The writer want the viewer and Turner to aid Batman. Great idea, folks. The kids giving the true rock was hilarious. I wanted Turner to die. Them trying to justify giving the rock. Last 5 minutes was filler. Hilarious. RV wanting the truth was one of the few things I actually liked. RV learning that he killed Priscilla was predictable, but at least his reaction was great. And these are the only two things I liked. RV was the only decent thing in this shit show.
I agree.
I think it's just terrible. It's not a good TV show. Episode 9 for me is a 2.5 out of 10. What about you, Cole?
1 out of 10.
Feeling you. Sometimes I think you're more right than me on that. Superman and Lois season 3 episode 9 starts. DC?
No.
Okay. Okay, so Black Swan, Cole, where would you place it?
S.
Oh, very cool. I think I remember giving 8 or 9.
Yeah, you gave it around a 9 to 9.5.
I can't remember. So
yeah, you said you weren't a big of a fan of the like either the first or second half. You said
actually, I think I remember my issues. Like the early part took like forever to start.
Yeah.
And when the movie started picking up, I was kind of hooked by it.
Yeah.
So I'd say A+, A+ or lower than Social Network.
I mean, we can. We can
You
put
know
it lower
what?
than Social Network. If you want.
I think it would be lower than everything because we are not exactly on the same page on that one.
Yeah.
That sounds fine. Alien, the first one. I remember disliking it. What about you, Cole?
Either high A plus or S.
A plus or S? What about you, DC?
S.
Okay, so for me that would be more of a C. So A plus or S. That means low A plus or IA.
I guess we can put it in A plus. We can
Okay.
we can put it. Let's see. I know the Rocky one was about the same that we gave it, but I know you gave it a higher rate, and then
Yeah, I like more
Alien. So
Rocky.
yeah, so you can put it behind it. Yeah.
I remember giving Rocky 1 a 7. Okay, Evil Dead. That's the controversial one where I think Cole will like it much more than the both of us.
Yeah, so we haven't even reviewed this yet, but yeah, we're doing the this is the original one. This will be interesting. This is the first time on a stream where we'll be kind of revealing our ratings before doing a review. So
well, we don't say the rating exactly. We just say which letter. Okay, which letter.
Yeah. Well, anyway, for this,
which letter?
Let's see. An A plus for me would be like around a 9 or 8 out of 10. So I guess an A plus.
A plus. For me, that would be E for Echo, or low D for Delta. One of the two. What about you, DC?
E.
Echo. Okay, so A plus for Cole. So that means like I see low B. I see low B. What guys are thinking about?
What would you say, Marvel?
I guess high C.
Okay. I'd say, looking back, I would say it's better than Babylon. Babylon gets worse as we cover other movies. Predator 2. Did you have seen it, DC? No?
Nope.
Cole, where would you place that one?
High B.
And for me, that would be like IA. So I guess middle A.
Yeah. Is well, like the average, like again, there's like 25,000 films at release per year. So going off of that average, there's maybe like around like 8, 10 out of 10s, 10 maybe, 10 out of 10s per year. But the thing is on this stream, I mean, not all the time, of course, but we do, watch a lot of the better ones, not a lot of those like middle of the pack, mediocre ones. So because of that, there's more of a chance for us, in this percentage to get a lot of 10s or not 9.5s because of that.
Yeah, like a perfect clue is how low is the movie count in like under C. Because I think C is like passing grade for me. It's mediocre at best, But
it's like, trust me, there's loads of fucking like D, E's, and F's per year. But it's just on this stream we focus.
We don't need to watch all of them,
Yeah,
we can watch a few like Wakanda Forever, but
we mainly watch them if we're doing like projects and they're a part of it, or if we want to watch something that's like so bad it's funny.
So bad it's funny.
Yeah, like Troll 2.
Yeah. So Cole, basically, what are your recap? Do you think we got too many or just enough in S?
For me, I would only have like around maybe. I would maybe. I mean, again, for my personal taste, I'd maybe not have like the Rocky or Creed film, or maybe even like 7 as like the highest A. But that's just me personally. But when it comes to but then again, there's others that I could have in there as well, like Citizen Kane or Everything Everywhere at Once. So
yeah,
I mean,
the question was more like, are we dropping like they keep the same placement in terms of how good they are, but we would drop a few of them there.
No, I think it's
not overcrowded.
I mean, I think it's about like fine because of everything we said. But if you do want to like shorten it to make it feel like more of like a prestige thing, then I would say put the Social Network and the Rocky 2 and Creed.
I will ask DC what is his take on that first. I will look into it after. So what's your take? Do you think it's overcrowded, DC, or you think it's fair that we got that many movies in S tier?
I think it's fair.
Okay, so guys both think it's fair, so we leave it that way. So take your snapshot, everyone. Keep in mind, Black Panther Wakanda Forever was a disaster that I truly hated. That's why it's that low. But outside of that, man, that was the tier list for season 2. Screenshot, man. We need these screenshots. Tell them, man. Don't be manipulative when you make movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's end that screen share, and I will mark down the timestamp. 47. This marks the end movie tier list. So, Evil Dead. DC has only seen the first one, but yesterday when we talked, he didn't mind to get spoiler for the others because he didn't really enjoy the first movie. Am I right to say that?
DC? Yeah, I didn't like the first one. not even the second one either. So I'm fine with spoilers for all of them.
Okay, well, that's great to hear. So